Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about OutRun, Sega Genesis OutRun, as a speedrun. It's an in-game time speedrun. There are 6 major categories. Goal A, B, C, D, E, and then all stages, which is goal A, B, C, D, E, but it's a little bit more than that. There are 15 stages in this game. As we can see in the top right corner here. Let me see if I can get my little, I have sort of a pointer. Here's my little pointer. So you can see in the top corner here, there are 15 different stages. So all stages means you do have to do all 5 of the endings here on the right. But it also means you have to hit each stage in the middle at least once. And it's tempting not to do that because it would be faster not to do that if you just wanted to do all 5 endings. But for all stages, you have to do that. We are going to effectively watch all stages here because my goal D uses the all stages route, at least for now. What we're going to do is we're just going to watch all of my runs, which at one time were world records or are still world records. They're all absolute fractions of a second from the world records, so the world record's going to look the same as my run. It's going to look, and I'll just tell you where the slight differences are. Frankly, I don't know all of them exactly, but I'm pretty sure I can guess. It'll be obvious where maybe there was a little bit more time that I could have saved. So we'll talk generally about the game during the first stage, because we're going to see the first stage 5 times. And then as these stages go on, they sort of, you hit the places where you only see those spots once. So we're going to start with goal A here. And in the options, I don't think we're actually going to see the options, but in the options you do want to choose super easy. You can use any difficulty you want, but you're never going to world record unless you're using super easy. I can guarantee you that at this point. That is true.
Get ready.
I do have pro runs, there are hyper runs, there are other things, but we're just looking at this super easy run. And there's something right away that we'll go back and take a look at here.
Get ready.
Beep, beep, now! So we push the gas right after the second beep. The sound of the beep should be gone. Gas. And then 1, 2, 3, it goes back, now! So it's going to go into that bright green. If we're looking at the tachometer at the top here. Let's look at this boost again, because the boost is a key part of all of this. Where's my pointer? So we're looking right up here. That's where we can see the boost happen. And the boost is like, I don't know, half a second or something. So you wait for that second light. Now. And then we'll see up here, we get 3 lines and then they go away. And then the green lines start coming back. And when they start coming back, you want to shift on that 3rd green line. We'll see that a couple more times. We'll review it as we go through. But you got to hit that boost or you'll never get the fastest time on stage 1. Well, this isn't a new position. I'm not playing right now, see? I'm over the actual old version of myself that's there. Alright, so now we're running stage 1. We're going to see this stage 4 more times. No, I'm not playing this game right now. Get off. We're going to see this stage 4 more times, so we'll go into more detail then. But this is a stage that we should be doing perfectly. This is the trick right here, this S-curve. Again, we'll look at it more in the future. We got to get through that S-curve. That's the first major obstacle sort of in this game. And if we're going for world record, we have to make it through there without getting hit and without touching the edges.
Checkpoint.
This is another stage we're going to see a bunch more times, so we'll just talk about general stuff and then we'll look at the specifics of this stage later. So the whole game is turns. You want to know where all your turns are. You want to know how hard those turns are, how much you're going to move across the road during that turn. And so we can talk about that now, but ultimately, like, memorizing that information is is the routing of this game, and it's something that of course just takes time. So here comes a big right turn. We're going to see this turn a bunch more times, but that's one where if we are just on the inside on the right and we hold, we will just make it. And then here's the last S-curve of this stage. Again, we're going to see this stage so many more times here, so we'll look at the details then. And here's the transition. The transitions are all about the same. You're going to turn one way, and then you're going to turn the other way, and you want to be on the inside. Generally speaking, this game is all about being on the inside of turns as much as possible. We know there's a big left turn coming up here, so we're on the left. And then while you're in the turns, as long as you've given yourself enough room, you can usually skirt around the cars and not hit the outside of the turn when you're done the turn. But each turn's a little bit different. The other thing to look at when you're doing the turns is we'll see here, we hit a big turn, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's telling us we've got an S-curve. But you're always going to see 4 signs. There we have 1, 2, 3, 4, turn. And at the end of the last sign is where the turn starts. So if you immediately see the sign and start turning, that's usually wrong. That's usually too early. You want to sort of in your head, you see those signs and you get the rhythm of those signs. And you get the 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually it's 1, 2, 3, 4, turn. Not always. Sometimes you got to turn in a little quicker. And I can't tell you exactly when all of the turns have to happen because if you're playing on emulator, the timing's going to be slightly different. If you're playing on a console but with a flat screen that's not for gaming, timing's going to be different than it is if you're playing on a CRT. But generally speaking, you want to know that the turns start at that 4th flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, now we're turning. And getting the rhythm of that and being able to see those flags and sort of know when that turn's going to be, that's a big part of the feel of this game. Now I pause because we're going to only see this stage and the next stage once. So we're going to look at these real close. And these are difficult stages because they don't have lines in the middle of the road. We'll take a look later at how those lines are helpful and useful, but we don't have them here. We don't exactly know where the lanes start and end. And we just have to sort of feel the cars out. But we're pulling into this stage here. And the first thing we want to do is get left. There's going to be a long, slow left here, but we're going to see a lot of cars. And we're probably going to have to shimmy right a couple of times even. So we want to start this left. We want to come into here. This is called Wilderness Drive, and we are hanging out on the left. We want to be as far left as possible. This car is going to stay in the middle, so we're going to hold left around it. This, again, if there's a line there, it's easier to tell where the edge of that car is. But you can hit the edge of a car with the edge of your car. So you'll see here, it looks like we're about to crash, but we're not going to. As we make this turn, we're going to slide right just a little bit. But as we're making the turn, we're going to generally stay in the same place. Just slide right. We're not in any danger of running off to the right here, as long as we cut this turn on the inside. But this is a place where now we have to shimmy around this car. Hi, TYX. I'm doing good. And see that. We just shimmied around that thing. It looked like the edges of our cars touched. But that's okay. The edges, the hitboxes do not go out to the edge of the car. The hitboxes sort of ignore that bit of edge of the car. And it's just sort of like what we're looking at right now. It's just like where the people would be sitting in the car. So you can scratch the edges. So now we see another car coming. Another part of this game, I'll say probably multiple more times, is we're always looking on the horizon. Certainly we're aware of where we are, but we always want to be looking on the horizon to see where the next cars are coming. So there again, had a nice little shimmy. But now we're almost out of road, so we got to be careful. There is a turn coming. And there it is. So as soon as I see those arrows in this case, I wait just a fraction of a second. Not the second I see them, but a fraction of a second. And then I'm pushing right into the grass. Because we have this right turn coming up. You'll lose the entire road very, very quickly. Yeah, this will be on YouTube. I'll put this on YouTube. It's not just, I'm just doing it this way because it's easier to do it this way. I might as well stream it. So this is a turn where there's no way in heck you're not going to run out of space. So in this case, you could just slow down. Theoretically, you could stay on the road. You could just slow down to a point where then you can start gassing and gas into the turn and you won't run out of room. But what we found is that it is faster to run into the grass and lose speed slowly while in the grass. And then you could come out and make the turn. So what's going to happen here is we're going to go into the grass and then we're going to come out at a really not quite the last second to avoid hitting bushes. And that's going to leave us just enough road left so that we can make the turns. Watch this. We're in the grass. Those bushes we won't hit, but these we will. So if we look at that again, here we go. We're going around our first left. Now into the grass. We're losing time, and there we go. We're not losing time, we're losing speed. So it's not gear gotcha. If you look at the top left, you will see that we are losing speed slowly. And then we get just to the edge of the road, right in front of those big bushes that we would hit. And then we know we did it well because at the very end, we're just at the edge of the road when the turn ends. So now we're back on the road. We're about to run out of road, but there we go. Turn's over. We do that any other way and not let go of the gas, and we're going to hit the edge. If we come out of the grass there too early, we're going to smash into those bushes on the other side. They don't look like much, but we were just a little bit from smashing into those bushes there. But the turn ended just as we hit the edge of the road, so we were fine. That's one of those turns where it's a really tight turn, and then that tightness ends, but you're still turning right. Just a little bit, but there's a really tight turn, and then it stops being super tight, and it sort of lets off a little bit. But you're still going right. So we'll watch that one more time. Because this is tricky. This stage deserves time. We should spend time on it. So there we go. We're slowing down. We're still sort of driving while we're off-road there. Making it just there. We would have crashed into those bushes if we did that wrong. But you see there, we're still turning right. We didn't really have any cars there, but I typically try to stay outside on that turn. Typically try to stay outside. If there is a car in the middle of the road, I don't like the inside. You're often going to then get pinned on the inside, and it's just easier to go outside here. We didn't really have any cars this time, but you see how I'm sort of middle outside on that. All right, so now we have another tight turn coming up. This one's going to be a right, and it's just enough so that if you try to take it without losing any speed, you will crash on the outside. You only have to lose just the smallest amount of speed. So generally speaking, you want to try to go into the rough right as the turn is starting, grab a little bit of rough, off the accelerator for just a fraction of a second, and then right back on to take the turn. And I think I do that successfully here. Yeah. So you see I caught a little bit of rough. I've decelerated. I'm down into the 160s now. If I don't do that, you're going to crash on the outside. You cannot hold 183 through this turn. You can't do it. You will crash. But we just went just into the 160, just like 166 there. And now we're back at about 177 on the outside of that turn. And that's how you know you did it well. So again, we go in, we catch just a little bit off the gas. Boom. Could have maybe gotten another mile per hour or two out of that, like a 179 on the outside. But at the same time, if we'd done that, then we probably would have hit the edge. Because as you can see, we're right on the edge of the outside. So we pretty much got the most out of this turn. It's tough. That guy was there, but we got space. Everybody else moved to the left, so that was good. And then just you can see we had like another couple pixels. We could have gone outside, and we would have been okay. But that's pretty good. One last time, and then we'll go into the next turn, which is going to be a left. Have to slow down there. I've tried to do it without slowing down. You can't do it. So this is one I've improved recently. We've got to be on the left. And we're waiting. I do a 3 count on this. 1, 2, 3. Counting the arrow signs on the right hand of the road. On the third arrow, I'm cutting left and I'm letting go of the gas. So 1, 2, 3, cut left, let go of the gas. And see, this is where I lost about 0.2 or 0.3 maybe. Because I want the car to be right at the edge of the road. I actually want the car right now to be like right here at the edge. And it's all the way out here. And that sucks. It would be better if it was right here. It could be there. When I've gotten like better times on this stage, that's because the car has just missed that tree and been right on the edge of the road. So let's watch that again. You'll see how we want to decelerate here. So this is that turn. We're going to end up right on the edge. If we're lucky, there's no cars here, which we were. Sometimes you got to dodge a car right here. And then we're doing 1, 2, 3 into the grass. And see, that's where I see how early it comes out of the grass there. I want to just miss this little Joshua tree on the left side of the road. And I was a little too careful. So here we go. I want to go into the dirt, and I want to just miss that little Joshua tree we just passed on the left. But I missed him. You know, it's good that I missed him, but I wish I missed him by just barely. Because then we can get everything we want out of this turn. So what I do at this point with a turn like this, where we really have to decelerate a lot, this turn, you have to decelerate a lot. So that's why you want to be right on the edge of the road, right past that Joshua tree, because that's as tight as you can make this turn. We did it pretty good. And what I've found is when I do it pretty good, I need to wait for the tachometer to go down. All the green has to go away, and that first blue has to go away, and then I'm accelerating. You could look at the miles per hour as well. I like looking at the tach. If I just get it in there and I make that turn perfect, then you just have to wait for that last green to go away, and you get a little bit more out of the turn. But the name of the game on turns, I don't think I've said this yet, but I will say it a bunch more times, is always decelerate at the beginning of the turn, get as far inside as you can, and only decelerate once. Decelerate and then hit the gas and commit. That's world record strats. If you're just going marathon conservative strats, tap it. You can tap it. Tapping it is a great strat because it's going to keep it. You're going to lose just a little bit of speed. It's a good way to not lose a whole chunk of speed real fast is doing a mash on the accelerator. But if you're going world record, you want one deceleration and then pick your spot, accelerate, and hope, and then that's it. So you'll see when I grind this game, I crash this all the time because this is a key turn and I have to get as much out of it as possible or the whole run's worthless. So I did it just enough here, as we're going to see. I wait. Now I'm going. See, I just that blue bar went away, and then I started accelerating again. So we'll see here. I get back up pretty close to 183 before going into the grass. Back up to 181, 182, yeah. Now I'm in the grass. I'm letting it go, and then that's it. So you'll see it just decelerates down to about 118 or so, and then I just hit the gas again and go. And that's how these big turns work in this game. Again, mashing's a great strategy. It's not going to get you world record, but it'll get you some great times. Before you literally have the feel of everything out. Mashing is a good one, so you kind of, because otherwise if you let go of the gas, the miles per hour goes down really, really fast. And if you mash the gas, then it goes down a lot more slowly. But if you're going for perfection, decelerate, wait for your moment, accelerate, and if you hit that, that's how you hit the turn perfectly. So again, decelerate, 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 up, now. And just missed the stone. It's about how it's supposed to be. Could have been a little tighter on the inside. This turn. So now we made the Stonehenge turn. We didn't crash on the Stonehenge. It was pretty tight. We only got 2 turns left, and this one kind of goes into the next one. If there's a car in the middle here, in the middle of the road, you're probably up a creek. You can cut this on the inside. There, even though that tree stump is there, you have a bit of inside to work with, but you're going to lose time. So, a non-world record strat, if there's a bunch of cars on the left, You can hold right here, and you'll lose some speed, but you'll avoid those cars. You can take this turn pretty tight on the inside, but you're going to lose time because you're going to rub against the edge. This is a turn where cars will magically get out of your way, so sometimes you just have to rely on that. It happens a lot. But we're going to go through this turn. We got to watch out because there are trees on the outside, but when those trees end, then we're going off-road outside to cut the next turn as tight as possible. So we got plenty of room on this turn. That's a turn you can do full speed. I think we pretty much did that there. There's a Stonehenge turn again. We have to slow down there. You can go around those rocks to the outside, but you lose too much speed for world record. This Jeep looks like you're going to hit it, but then he moves out of the way. Isn't that nice? That happens a lot. So again, there's a turn. We have to slow down a little bit. Stonehenge turn again is coming up here. 1, 2, 3, into the grass. You can go around the Stonehenge, but you lose. You go down like way below 100 miles per hour when you do that. This turn, you can keep it up. There's no deceleration here. We're actually accelerating into the turn, and then we're outside, and it's the same idea, and this one is much better. We're losing speed by going outside, and we're just missing that Joshua tree. Just missing that Joshua tree. Watch it again. Slowing down, just missing the Joshua tree, getting the most out of that, and just missing that stump at the end. That is basically a perfect final turn, which is why this stage was what it was. It could have been more if we got the Stonehenge, but you can see there, we go outside. It doesn't really matter how far outside you go, but you have to be careful because if you don't go outside enough, if you don't go into the dirt enough, it will just suck you back into the road really easily, particularly on that turn. So you're finishing that right turn and then just boom, barreling left into the grass. And then sort of, you know, I do some taps. I do taps to get back towards the edge and then hit that just like that. So we come back onto the road. So this is a turn that I used to think you have to slow down. And you do. You have to slow down somehow before you go in. But I don't ever let go of the gas. I just run into the dirt. And if I come out of the dirt and hit the edge just like this, you have just enough space to do that. So now you see the end of the turn. We're just on the edge of the road. We actually didn't even come close to hitting that stump. We didn't hit the edge at all. We're back at 170. That's exactly what you want to see. You want to be back at 170 at the end of that turn and not have crashed. So that's one of the most difficult stages in the game there. So that was worth a look. So now you've made it through that stage. You've got a nice 59.5. This is exactly the split I was expecting to get in this PB. And at this moment when I saw it, I was like, oh, so this is the run. Because I'd had a 59.30 something. I had some 59.70s and 60s, but I always knew I was just going to get the 59.5 and that was going to be the run. So now we're going into the last stage. It's only really one turn here where I don't think we really slow down here much. But we've got a series of hard S-curves coming, and the first turn in this hard S-curve is going to be a really long right. So at no point should we leave the road, but we're going to need as much of the road as possible for the first right turn. So we want to be up on the far right inside. It's wait a sec. What am I thinking here? Oh, I'm sorry. There's a small left and then a hard right. So we're doing the small left, and we're going to let that sort of slide us up to the right here. The problem is if there's dudes up there on the right, we might not be able. We might have to cut on the grass to go around them, or we might have to go not that far right, or we're going to hit them. So like right up here, if there were people like black cars right in front of us, which there often are, it's a disaster. You either need to go lose time by going into the grass or go more left than you want to go. But that Jeep's okay. He wasn't going... He was far enough ahead of us that he wasn't a problem. But you'll see, we'll go basically all the way across, almost more than halfway across the road there. And as this turn goes, you're going to keep going outside. So this is a big turn. You can stay on the road the whole time. But it's going to keep pushing you to the outside. And if there's a car there, you're going to want to be on the outside of it. In this case, we didn't have too many cars. So now it's going to do another S. It's going to throw us to the right. And then again, we're going to go, we're going to have this right and then another left. So at this point, we're going to want to, again, get all the way to the right side of the road so that then we can get all that we can out of this. So yeah, it's tricky because it doesn't really tell you it's going right. It shows you that the left turn's coming, but you're sliding right a bit. And then we're going to get this. This left turn isn't nearly as tight. So if you get all the way to the right, you should have more than enough on that turn. It's not really a bad turn. That first turn is the killer. Particularly because if you're on, let's get back and run through this again. So here we go. It's going to be a little bit of a left. And we're going to use that to slide us, just kind of let it slide us to the outside here. But we want to be as much outside as possible. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, right. Just on that last flag, we want to cut right again. And then it sort of does the same thing, but it's not nearly as extreme. We should be able to stay in the road for all of that. Shouldn't have those turns push us out. It's all about just avoiding the cars. And there are some spots there, especially on that second shimmy back to the right and then left. If there's cars in the middle of the road, it's really tough. Okay, so now we've got the big turn coming up. Again, this is a turn we should be able to stay on the road, but we absolutely need to be as far right as possible. So we're going as far right as possible. We're expecting this to happen. There's going to be a car. So we're going to shimmy now so that we're just to the left. We're like halfway in this far right lane. Just a little bit more halfway in the left lane. Just like that. We're still good. As long as we're in this lane here, the far right or the one just next to it, we're going to have just enough space. Boom. So we could have been even a little bit more left there. If you're in one of the two right lanes there, you'll have enough space. But if you're outside of that second lane and you're a little bit more center, you're going to crash into the billboards every time. So you'll see here. And this is the turns coming up, and this turn is super tight. We can take it at high speed, but it takes us all the way across the road. But this was good, because we could see we made it just to the edge there. Didn't lose any time. Didn't even tap the edge. This turn is very straightforward. It's just a left. So after we do the really big right there, it's a simple left into the final stretch here. And this is a turn that's tricky because it's going to be a left. It's going to be a hard left, and then it's going to be a light left, and then it's going to be another hard left. So we're just going to keep turning left and left and left here. So you kind of want to lose just a little going into it, but just barely. I mean, if you want to get the best split on this time, you don't want to lose much. I'm losing too much here, probably. This guy being in the way was a huge pain in the neck. So that turn's elementary. You can always just get that turn. But this turn here is tough, especially when there's a guy right there, because that's where you want to be. But luckily, he starts moving out to the right a little bit, and I cut inside to lose just a little speed. I didn't want to lose that much. You want to get down maybe to 170. Because this is all one giant left turn, so he's going to throw you to the outside, and now you're going to come back in just a little bit. And if you lose about 170 on the initial turn, now you should come back in and just hit the edge, which I couldn't because that guy was there. And then it's going to start shooting you out again, and there are billboards there. So again, you need to be... We'll start the turn at the beginning here. So that threw me... that was just the easy one. So now we're going to go. We're turning inside. It's throwing us out. Now we're getting in there to shimmy past that guy. But we can't be much further to the right here or we're going out. And in fact, the only reason I didn't go out there was because I decelerated just a little bit because I knew I had the time. Had I not done that and still made it, my world record would have been even better. But I wanted to make it. I didn't want to hit the edge there and lose a lot. So I did a quick little tap. Right here, you see I lose a little bit of speed there just because I wanted to lose it there and not hit the edge and get stuck on the edge and lose even more. Look at that one more time. So there's our S curves at the beginning. And they're S curves. Your quick lefts and rights, left, right. Here, we can't go much more left here. A little bit more left, and that's about it. But that'll make the turn without losing any speed. Here, I usually go down the middle. I saw that guy. I stayed inside because I saw he was going right. But there's plenty of room on that turn. Now here, long left turn, hard left, not so hard left. Hard left. You got to be on the inside there. You will hit the billboards. And now this is the last S curve. We're not going full hard left here. I usually tap about 4 or 5 times. On this last curve here, and to be sure, these last 2 turns are possibly my weakest turns in the game. So I'm coming up here, and we do need to hit the edge. So I'm going to tap maybe 4 or 5 times. I'm going to enjoy a bit of the edge, and then I'm going to go right back into the road and just barely miss that last one. So that is actually probably a really good execution of that turn. I'm pretty sure you have to go off-road or you're not going to make it. So, I mean, we're as far left as can be right now. But I have tried to do this without leaving the road, and every single time you will crash into a billboard. So we're going to go off-road for just a second here. Go down to a high 150 maybe. Yeah, so we went down to 150. And so, you know, just a little bit of time in the grass and then hit the edge. And we'll see, this is gonna just miss this last billboard. And you can miss that billboard and touch the edge, and we didn't even touch the edge. So that was a pretty tight end to that. There might be a way to do that even tighter. Might be able to spend a little bit less time in the grass, but probably not. The time that I lost on that stage was really in that long series of left turns where it's a hard left, then you kind of come back in, and then it goes hard left again. And I felt that just losing a couple miles per hour on the accelerator was better than hitting the edge, where you generally, the outside edge, you really want to avoid hitting outside edges. You're going to lose more time than you want. It's often better to just tap, if you can lose a little speed on the road and not hit the outside edge, it's usually better. Unless you want that outside edge because you need to lose time. Like, again, at the end, that very last right-hand turn here at the end, with the billboards on the left, you can't do that turn at full speed. You'll hit the billboards every time. That's why I'm pretty sure this is right. You have to lose this little bit of speed because, look, again, we're right on the edge there. And we'll talk about this more, but, you know, when you're going into the grass like that, it's all about getting the rhythm. So I sort of know there. I go into the grass and it's like, and now I want to be out of the grass because it makes like a little noise when you go in the grass. So sometimes I know I want like a 3 cycle or like a 4 cycle, like and out. And so I shift, you know, I turn left and then turn into the turn again. So coming out of that grass and starting your turn with the car right on the edge of the road, it looks really easy in this because it's the record, and I spent a lot of time, you know, making this work. But that's, you know, that's why the other ones fail. Yeah. Because, again, if we look at something like this, where we're going to go into the grass, and then we need to come out of the grass, but we want to get... So we're in the grass here, and I kind of like feel this as a rhythm thing, which a lot of speedrunners do in different ways. I was watching Teeks last night play Mario 3. I was talking about Door 3, which is where you can get through the castle quicker by getting... Like you have to do an up tap it's a frame perfect up tap, and he does 3 up taps at exactly 144 beats per minute, and that almost always works. Lane Rayner was talking about a different strat where he goes left, right, up real quick. He just does those things as fast as possible, which is funny because it's almost the same as Teak strat. But just different approaches to the same thing. But it's about feeling the rhythm of how much time you need to spend in the grass here. And then sort of tapping out of the grass, quick left tap, quick right hold to make this turn. And we'll see. So right there, that's the thing. If the car suddenly shot out into the middle of the road, we'd be done. We're going to hit a billboard. We're going to lose too much speed. It's no good. But we got out, and now we're right on the edge of the road starting this turn. And that's the key. That is it. That is it. Oh, wow. I had, about 30 minutes before I did this, I had thought I did it. And I jumped out of the chair and got really excited. And then I slowly did the math and was like, wait, that wasn't even close. It wasn't it. So this was, I wasn't super excited when I got that record because.
I'm sure that's a 438.
Yeah. It was a 438, by the way. All right, so let's move on to goal B, which I guess for some reason I had the all stages up.
Get ready.
So most of that information is out of date now. Maybe not. My bests, well, no, D is different. B is also different. Wow, that's crazy. Almost all those bests have been improved except, no, they've all been improved. Except C, maybe. I think C is still the same, but I've improved all of those other bests by at least a little bit since then. But anyway, let's take a look at goal B. Let's go back here. And we're always playing on super easy. You can have the shift be whatever you want. You can use whatever button sequences you want, but usually I use the standard A brake, B gas, C shift. Yeah, 1, 2, now. So the boost at the beginning is all about starting right after that second light. So we're going to get beep, beep, accelerate. Right when the sound of the second beep is gone. And then it kind of goes up and it does that thing where it's like you get 3 green bars, but then they go away and then the green bars start again. That's how you know you hit the boost. And so when those green bars go away and then start again, the third green bar is where you want to shift. And basically, if you don't get that, go watch. Watch any of the world record runs or my runs, and we do that every single time. You absolutely have to do it. You lose so much time by not doing that you just can't do world record runs without it. So let's watch it one more time, and then let's talk about lanes. Cat, you're asleep on a foot right now. So watch that tachometer. I find it's easier to just listen. You can watch the light, like the, stop, caution, go. That was kind of weird. I think the sound might be off, or maybe the way I'm hearing it, the sound is a little bit off. But watch the video on YouTube and you'll see it. All right, so let's take a look at this. So it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes here. But actually, between every one of these lanes is another lane. So there. So you see how I just shifted there? Watch that shift again. So I'm in a lane. I'm usually in a lane, or here off this turn, I'm in a lane, and then I shift so that the lane is going straight down the middle of my car. There's different ways to look at that. The rear view mirror or the license or the little logo on the back. But when you've got a line going straight down the middle of your car so that like the overview mirror overlaps the line, then you're in a lane between those other 2 lanes. And that's an important thing to understand because you can go through what look like walls by realizing that there is a lane in between each lane. So we'll see if a good example of that comes up. So you'll see usually when I'm positioning the car, I occasionally will put it so that it's going right down the line. So right coming up here, there we go. If I think there's a wall of cars coming up, I'll be right down a line. But otherwise, I'm usually just to one side of the line on a straightaway. So I know that I'm just far enough away. Alright, so we'll take a look at these turns in detail maybe on the next run. But we're going to keep seeing this. But here we'll see. So there's a good spot. We'll see I come out of this turn. And I stay just a little left to the line because I know that guy's in the right lane. So I know there's no way I'm going to hit him. And then the other thing I usually do when I come into this. So here we go. I just skirt past that guy. It looks like did I actually decelerate there? Oh, that's crazy. Well, that's why that's not world record. So see here, after I make this big turn, after each turn, I sort of position myself for the next turn, right? So here, I'm just to the left of the line, so I have no chance of hitting that guy. Going into this turn, though, I decide to line up right on the line. Because I know with this turn, that's basically the edge. I've got to be on that line or more to the right. And that allows me to just miss stuff on the left while also missing the car that I could see was on the right ahead. So I use that line there to know that's about the edge of where that turn is. And then I use the lines here too. You'll see how, well, yeah, see the lines go away there. But on a turn like this, I generally want to be, I want to be on the line. And if I see that I can get more out of the turn, then I'll go further into the turn. Otherwise, if I'm on the line on the transitions, I know that I have basically enough room to make the turn and not hit the outer edge. Now this stage is trickier because it doesn't have the lines. But it does have these little mounds in the middle that are effectively lanes. So there's actually like 5 lanes. So that, yeah, there's the far lane, the mound, the middle, the next mound, and then the other far lane. We'll talk about this one next. This is just a giant series of S-curves. But in the interest of not hitting cars, being able to put yourself on the line, getting your tapping the left and right, just right, to get yourself on the lines. Like here, I know I want to be on the inside. I don't know how I didn't hit that guy. Just barely missed that guy. So here we go. I'm on the left of that line. Now I see that guy coming. I know there's a right turn. See, I rarely go down the middle of lanes. I'm usually straddling the line on one side or the other. Or hugging the line straight down the middle if it looks like there's a couple cars in front of me that I don't want to go around and I want to go between them. That was really close. All right, so let's talk about this stage. We've got a little turn coming up here. So I know that turn's going to push me to the edge, or I'm going to like sort of shimmy there. So I give myself enough room to shimmy. And now this turn is really the crux of this whole stage. This is a turn where you have to slow down. And there are things right on the edge of both sides of the road. I'm just going to keep replaying this turn a bunch of times here. So we've got the turn signs show up on the right. And if we cut left even just a little bit, we're going to hit the houses. So this turn is all about just the right amount of deceleration. And hitting left as soon as possible right here. You want to hit left as soon as possible. Not so much that it pulls us into the boathouse, but so that we can... And I didn't quite do it nearly as tight as possible here. Yeah, wow. No wonder this isn't... Oh, right, because this is about to be a B record, so this is still... Okay, well, we can see why this wasn't the record, huh? Maybe it's better on C. But yeah, this turn could be tighter. Decelerate and left at the same time. But there's no edge there. You can't like run on the edge. You will hit the building if you go left a fraction of a second too early. So this turn is all about coming up here and decelerate a little bit before and then left. So maybe on like the second or third sign, start decelerating and then hit left so that you can take it as tight as possible. I mean, that's something you can practice. Like that's something I would practice over and over to see how to get that turn as tight as possible. And so this is another place where you have to lose a lot of speed. You have to let go of the gas. So you want to cut it as tight as possible. And then I'm looking at the tachometer and I'm waiting for all the green to go away. And probably a little more. It depends how tight you cut it. So you kind of have to get that feel for, ooh, it looks like I cut it really tight. Maybe I don't have to go. You almost always have to let all the green go. And maybe a little more. So a good strat is to tap around that turn. Lose speed, but not too much speed. Not too much speed too fast, but at the same time, if you really want to do it, you just have to lose an exact amount of speed and then decide that's it and hit the accelerator and go back. So in this case, I use the tap. I go down, and then I try to hit it, and then I realize it's not enough, and I'm going to hit that tree. Because you will hit that tree on the outside. Here we go. I think I've lost enough speed, but now I'm worried, so I'm tapping, and I just barely missed the tree. You really want to come around that turn at full speed, or you want to come around that turn, lose just the amount of speed you need, and then start going again. And then this part here, which maybe we'll look at more and see, but it's just a series of S-curves. And it's just a matter of staying on the outside of those curves all the way through. Like, let's see how that one went. So we make it through this turn. I did not do well there. I should have just lost speed, hit the accelerator, and gone. And if I hit the tree, it's a reset. Yeah, this is a series of S-curves where you're just going, you're just trying to hug the inside. We're hugging the inside there. Now we're letting ourselves get to the outside because then that becomes the inside. But that is a spot where you should never need to decelerate. If you're going for world record, you can make all those S-curves without decelerating. It's just a matter of doing it. This turn as well, it's very similar to the previous turn, but you don't need to lose any speed. So through the end there, it's just a matter of staying on the road because there's almost always trees on the edge and just avoid getting hit. So let's see specifically what I do here. So I come out. That's tough because now you immediately have to get left. It goes left a little, but now there's a harder left coming. Hard left. Now we're getting right as much as we can because there's going to be a hard right. Now we're still going right a little and a hard left is coming, and there we go, and we made it. So there, as we see, there is plenty of room on the road there. And then for this last turn, that was kind of a wall I had to get around. But I like to, so again there you can see where I'm riding when I come out of this long, slow left turn here. You can see where I'm riding down the middle of the road just a little bit to the left. So anything to the right of me isn't going to hit me. And I come into that turn on the left, and that's a tricky turn. But if you look, you can kind of see where the cars are on the horizon. So as you're coming up that hill on that turn, you do want to be looking on the horizon. Try to see if somebody's coming right in front of you, then you got plenty of room on the right to get around them. You do have to stare up at that horizon. Yeah, there was way more time there. Okay. And last but not least, this is one of the fastest stages in the game. Not a lot you can hit. There's a couple billboards and stuff.
Checkpoint.
So we're going to have a bunch of S-curves right away. I usually kind of stick to the middle here because it doesn't matter. This turn is really light. And then this is fairly heavy. And then this is even heavier. But you can stay on the road through all of them. But generally speaking, this first turn I just sort of feel out the cars. And then I try to get as far right here as possible. And then I try to stay as right as possible. There are going to be cars, of course, but stay as right as possible through those, except at the very end with the billboards. But that you don't get pushed around too much on those turns. And if you stay right, it's usually your best bet. So watch one more time. Let that turn push you all the way to the right and then hang out there. You don't want to hit these signs here. You don't hit those signs there. And then usually you're good because it will naturally sort of push you back to the left. So if you try to stay right, that's good. This next turn that comes up here. So there we go. We want to be as far right as possible, but it's not that big a deal. The turn isn't going to push us too far, but it's going to be long, and we're going to go past a bunch of cars on this one turn. So we just come in at the right, shimmy around the cars. All right, so now we have one last S. Or no, yeah, one last S. All right, so this is just a long turn where you'll pass a bunch of cars, but it pushes you to the outside just a little bit. So this one's tricky because this is an S curve where we have to grab a little bit of the inside. So we're going to go right then left, and as we go left, we want to grab a little bit of the inside. But it's almost like the road is going right, and then I don't know. It's almost like the road's just sort of shimmying to the right a little bit. So I like to come in on this turn on the right and almost go straight. Like, don't turn. Just go straight. Maybe tap left once or twice. So I'm just like going straight there. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Tap right once or twice, I guess. But you'll see, I basically just go straight into this and I tap right just a little bit and then I hit the left and just grab a little piece of that inside. Yeah, I should have grabbed a little bit more, but that was still pretty good. Let's watch that one more time. So here we go. Yeah, I needed to grab a little bit more, so I probably didn't even need to go right as much. Like, you just go straight, just go straight into that out of bounds, or just into that rough there. Although it's not that bad. Because you just grab a little and it goes down to 177. Oh, no, but I decelerated there. My God. My standards were not as high. So yeah, that's the key, is I don't want to decelerate there. I want to go into this turn, not go, just smash into that and stay in there for another split second. So it takes me down to 160 or something, and then just accelerate into that curve and end up right on the edge. So I did end up right on the edge, but it's because I decelerated. Watch it one more time. So here, it's always tempting to just, you really want to go straight, but I always make myself turn because I think I'm going to crash. But there's nothing to crash into. You can just run off-road there. And then here again, we're going to grab a little bit of off-road so that we can make this turn as tight as possible. We grabbed a little too much because we could see then at the end of this turn, we still had plenty of road left. And it probably wasn't that we grabbed too much, it's that we weren't going fast enough when we went in because we didn't hit that other turn quite right. But that last turn there, too, is really tight. You absolutely have to slow down. The best way to do that is to grab some dirt, ride the dirt for just the right amount of time, and then again, it looked like a good cut into the road. Like if we look here, and we go offline a little bit, and then we go there. Yeah, we just hit the edge and started turning, so it was really, it actually was pretty good. We only had a little bit of road left at the end. And that's a pretty good time. Let's go B.
Congratulations.
What? Alright, let's take a look at Goal C. We'll talk a little bit more about the opening stages here. So again, we got the boost. I messed up the boost, so I restarted.
Get ready.
Alright, so this stage starts with some light turns, a little bit of a light left, a little bit of a light right. Got plenty of road to work with. But just like any other place, we still want to take the turns on the inside. The first couple turns, not really a big deal. They don't really push you anywhere. Then we get an actual turn sign, go left a little. And we get another turn sign, we go right a little. But we see they're only moving us like a lane or two. This left is actually pretty big. That moves us across a couple different lanes. But it's super easy. There really shouldn't be that many cars. So usually, even if you're about to hit a car, you can probably go around it to the outside. But let's look at this part a little more closely. So, and if you give yourself enough room on the road, frustrated that audio is off. You should have no problem getting to this S-curve. And this S-curve is really just about feeling it out, getting the feel for it, being able to shift quickly back and forth between your right and left directional. Sort of, you can roll over with your thumb or just quickly, shift your thumb from side to side. But I usually like to go in this on the left side whenever possible. If you're right next to a car or something, you'll usually shoot past that car. So watch this pink car disappear here. There it goes. And that turn particularly, learning that turn is really sort of the beginning of all this, because you have to be able to hit that turn consistently or this is going to take forever. You're never always going to hit it. There's going to be cars there sometimes that stop you.
Checkpoint.
But that turn is all about sort of feeling where the turn is. That turn is what teaches you to learn how to, you don't always have to be holding a direction on a turn. Because sometimes you actually want the turn to slide you across the road. And so just getting that feel for exactly when to start turning and how to shimmy around cars in the middle of a turn, that first S-curve is the thing that prepares you for all of that, I guess.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
Watch this. Oh,
And that first S-curve is also where you got to learn to start anticipating things. So that sometimes it's better on that S-curve. There's spots where you actually want to start turning left right before the curve actually goes left, because you want to slide left a little bit, while you're still on the right curve or something like that to avoid a car. That's just kind of stuff that's hard to put into words. This stage is sort of all about that. So let's look at this stage, because we'll look at Wheatfield next, which I just talked through, which is this stage. But we'll look at the desert here, because this is the last time we'll see the desert. Oh, wait a second. Let's change this too. Doesn't really matter yet, but...
Checkpoint.
Yep. Yeah, see, you're still good there.
All right, so when we enter the desert, we want to be on the left. This turn is actually fairly big here. If you're not at least on the left-hand side there, you could be in trouble. Let's go back in again. Let me fix this. So you want to start this on the left. And then it's just all S's back and forth. So there's different ways to do this. One strat might really be to try to just stay in the middle as much as possible, but I try to basically take every turn like I would a normal turn. Let's do ourselves a favor here. I think it's time to use this tool that we have available to us. Look at this in slow-mo. We'll get some funky audio. Let's mute the audio. All right, so let's look at the desert at half speed here. So we need to start on the left. The desert is really all about avoiding cars while trying to stay on the road. There's only one spot where we leave the road for a very small amount of time in world record runs. So I'm rarely, these are never going to push us to the end. So you always have room to shimmy here as long as you're taking each turn on the edge. So you're just going to watch me shift back and forth from one edge to another. So here we go. Now I want to be on the right edge. And now I'm sort of playing down the middle because of where the cars were. Again here, now I'm there on the edge. Yeah, this run I kind of stayed more towards the middle. Because you can basically stay in the middle and just keep turning through all the S-curves. And you won't, if there's no cars there, that may be the best place for you to be. But let's go back and look at that one more time. Because it actually starts with 3 turns, and then it's 3 S-curves. So let me see if I can speak this out right. In my head, this is all just subconscious. So the first left is a pretty big left. We do want to be far left here. Otherwise, we will actually run out of room in the road. So I'm shimmying around the truck. Now we've got a right, so I want to be far right. Again, I got plenty of road to work with here, so I'm shimmying to the outside. Now we've got a left. And now the first S-curve starts. It's coming up. Here it is, and now we're going right and then left. And then for this next S-curve, I want to be as far right as possible and then hit right now. Right before that last sign goes away, you really want to turn into that second S-curve. And for the final one, you want to be as far left as possible. You want to let yourself slide left and now turn into this last one because this is the biggest turn, I think, in that group. So we do that no problem, but if you're even in the middle there, if you let yourself be in the middle as you come up that hill, you'll end up running out of room on the road. Let's look at it one last time. So it could be left, right, left. We got enough road to work with as long as we allow ourselves to be on the outside of each turn. It's not necessary, though. You could take it really tight down the middle. And this first S-curve is pretty standard. The road just goes right and then left. This next one, though, I do find you want to be more right and then quickly turn right into it or you will run out of room on the left. And then on the last one, you want to be more left. So right behind these cars and then quickly turn into it. You're almost always going to the outside of cars here. There might be some car over on the far right. Usually you won't hit that guy. Probably going to the outside. And then on this straightaway, now I want to get far left. This is a fairly new strat for me. I used to take this more center, but I like taking it far left unless there's a car there. No car on the left, I'm sticking far left. Car on the left, I'm going more center or right. And it's a tricky one. Because you got to turn in there that is light and then goes hard. So let's take a look at this again from the straightaway. So that's the last big turn out of the first series of turns. Now we're on the straightaway. And generally, I want to be left here. This turn right here isn't too much. It does pull you a little bit. But then you're going to have a quick S here. So you want to get to the left side and then now be turning into this. And this turn is really weak, but now it gets really strong. And now it flips to the right. So it's tough when you come over that hill. You just need a little bit of a left turn. So once again here from the straightaway after the first series of turns. This turn, we can't take this too right or we'll hit the signs. We don't even really want to be in the middle. We want to be left so we can get as much, we have all the options if we're left. And now we want to be left, not too far left or we'll go out. In this case, center is probably fine. So now here, we're like tapping left because it's a very light turn, but then suddenly it gets hard and then now shifts in the opposite direction. And now we have the final turn of the desert. And for this turn, again, there's no lanes here, but I basically want to be where I am right now. I want to be in this little spot where there's these little mounds of dirt on the right side. And then this turn's going to come up, and again, I'm counting the flags on the left. And right when I'm about to pass that fourth flag, I'm going to turn into this. I'm going to hit right to turn into this. Now I'm hitting right. And then I'm going to wait till I tap the edge here. Or better yet, so here we go. That's that sort of tricky turn where it's light and then it gets really hard. So it's, you don't need much turn, and then you need as much turn as possible. And then here I'm waiting 1, 2, 3, 4, turn into it. And then I'm watching on the right for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, turn into it. And you want to come off that little mound as close to 170 as possible. So this is good, but it's not perfect. You want to just tap the edge of the road there to bring yourself down to about 170. And it's all about basically coming at that. So you just tap it and then hitting left instead of right at just the right moment so that you get as much out of this turn, because it is an S where you're going right, and then now you're going left. And if you do that just right, which we did here, we didn't quite get as much out of it as possible. But we will not hit the edge there. And you have to get everything just right. It's crazy because you could spend more time in the sand there and still end up hitting that edge if you come out of that turn too late. Like, it's all about waiting for the 1, 2, 3, 4 turn into it, and then when you see the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right, now we're turning out, we're catching just the edge of it, but we're not going to catch the outside. Doesn't matter, we're not going to crash, but if you want perfect times, you want to not catch the outside when you're coming out of that turn. The desert is all about not hitting cars. It's all about, because as we saw, that's the only turn, and even on that turn, it's the only turn where it's like you don't let go of the gas. So you never let go of the gas in the desert if you want a perfect run. But you certainly have to avoid the cars. Okay, so this is about right. So yeah, so let's look at that turn one last time. So yeah, at this point, we shouldn't have gone off the road. We don't hit anything. We go into this turn. We want to catch just a little bit and then come off it right there. We don't want to spend too much time in there. There will often be cars there, but a lot of times you'll outrun them. If you do all that without really slowing down, you'd be amazed how many times those cars just magically get out of your way. All right, so here again, I'm going in on a line. Generally, if I'm on a line, I know I'm not going to hit anybody. The cars usually don't drive on the lines. They drive in the lanes. Occasionally, they do drive on the lines. It's not a hard, fast rule, but they rarely do that. Okay, so that was much better. Let's look at that. Let's look at that in slow-mo for fun. Well, no, let's not. We don't need to see it in slow-mo. But yeah, I'm driving on the line or really near the line allows me to know I'm not going to hit a car. Most of the time, like 98% of the time. So we're back to this turn again. Again, we're looking on the right. As soon as we hit that force sign, we need to turn in. We need to start decelerating. I haven't started decelerating yet. We're still at 183. Still at 183. Look at that. Now we're already starting to turn into the turn. We're right on the edge of the road when we start turning. And now I've started decelerating. So that was a really tight into the turn. Now we're decelerating. We're going to let the tack go down so that all the bright green goes away. I think one more than that, maybe. One blue bar goes away, and then we start accelerating again. Let's see what we do. We'll take it a couple frames at a time here. So the tack's going down. We're not holding the gas. We're holding left. Still going down. Okay. And now Oh, okay. So I did another double there. So I did another let it go down, but then when I still had the green, I tapped it a little bit. Ideally, you just want one smooth, let go of the gas, and then start the gas up again. Let's watch this in real time. Look at that. You could see, like, the car wasn't suddenly halfway across the lane when that turn starts. You're right on the edge of that lane, so you get as much of the road as possible. I let it go. See, I should have been brave. I should have let the green totally disappear there, and then I might have had it. But I did just barely miss that tree, so it is a really tight turn. And so again, after that really super tight turn, which we'll watch one more time, boom. You hit just on the right frame there. Get that as tight as possible. That was still really good. And so when we come out of that turn, we're going to just miss this tree. That's the whole key here. It's not just about speed. If you don't get this right, you're going to crash into that tree, and it will be bad. Then we've got a light left here, and then a hard left here, and then a light right here, and then a hard right here. And then that light right again, but now a hard left. Nothing that's going to throw you off. Nothing that's going to move you more than like a lane. But yeah, it's just all about avoiding the cars and not hitting the trees on the edge. And then sort of towards the end of that there, we see we got this left. And then that's another thing. It's a hard left for a few seconds. And then it's a really light left here. You just got to avoid the cars. It's tricky though, because you can't really use the like center lane strats on turns like that, because you're always sort of sliding to the left or right as you turn. And we'll watch this one last time. So using those center lanes, understanding the lines, and that you can go in between cars is great on straightaways. It's a lot. It doesn't really hold as true on turns, because the turns are almost always, you're almost always sliding in one direction or another, right? But yeah, this is all just about avoiding cars, understanding that you have enough room, trying to take the turns as close to the inside as possible will then give you enough room to avoid cars. It's not easy. It's a thing you just got to learn, but that's how it works. And here again, we're staying as left as much as possible and trying to look on that horizon. I don't know if we really had any clues on the horizon there. I like to hug the line here on the left. So if there's a car in the left lane, I'm easily around him, and then I got plenty more road to work with. It's a short turn. That was really close, but we made it. Then we had to slide over to the transition here. Again, on the transitions, you want to take them as close to the inside as possible. It's just like any other turn. You have the room there. You shouldn't ever go off the edge. You should even have enough to avoid one car. Sometimes those cars are just in the wrong spot, you know. All right, so this is the last stage in C. Let's take a look at it. Hard left. So we got a left here to start that we have just enough room. So you don't really want a car on the right lane here. That was okay because he's way ahead of us. We had enough room there. You don't have just enough room. I mean, you got enough room. But rocks all over the side there. You can't hit any rocks on the side. That would be a problem. And then we got a very tricky S at the beginning, and from there, everything's pretty straightforward. So this is a pretty straightforward left turn. As you see, I mean, yeah, almost 2 full lanes. But this one's tricky. I don't really have this next one figured out quite as well. But I'll tell you what I do. So this is just a left. We want to be inside. There is a little bit of inside you can get there before hitting the rocks. Like there is a little bit of dirt, as you can see in this turn. So what I usually do for this turn, because it's going to be a really slow left, doesn't pull you left that much, but then it's going to be, it's going to be a really slow right turn that doesn't pull you left that much, and then it's going to be a super hard left turn that requires a lot of slowdown. So I come at it from about this position, which might not be ideal, but it's pretty good. And then right as the turn starts, like the last sign goes away, I decelerate and, hold right. So now that will slide me to the outside. I'll start catching the edge. I'm decelerating so it won't throw me into the rocks. And I'll lose the speed on the edge. And so just like everything else now, I want to time it so that just as the curve starts going left, I hit left. Don't smash into the rocks and get as much of the turn as possible. So let's see what we actually do here. So that's pretty good. So now we can see the turn is now going left. And I'm just on the inside of the road so I can get as much as possible. Let's look at it one more time. So here we go. I'm positioning here. And yeah, I could have... It takes a second to sort of throw you to the edge there. And I don't think I slowed down quick enough here. Yeah, because I sort of pull right a bit and then I realize I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So you probably want to start this closer to the edge. The point is you want to ride the edge, catch that turn as fast as possible, which that's pretty good. And then you have to avoid the stones at the end. So we'll watch it one more time. It's a light right-hand turn where you can ride the edge, and then you want to get as much of this road as you can. You're going to have to decelerate. And you don't want to hit that post at the end. From here, it's pretty straightforward. This is a left. It's a slow left, but it'll pull you all the way to the outside. And then here, I always go in right about where I am now, right on this line. Going right on this line because it's going to pull us just a little left, and we're going to let it do that so we can get on that side there. But we don't want it to pull us all the way left because as we're going into this left, we're going to be sliding left the whole way anyway. So we go on this line basically so it pulls us to the other line, to that line, and you see now I'm on that line, and it's just slowly pulling me left even though I'm going as fast as possible. And then finally, yeah, it's going to be a pretty big turn at the end there. So here, again, it's going to... It's a quick right. It's not a hard right, but I like to use it to let it slide me to the edge. And now this is one of these turns where you're actually going to go inside as you're turning. And this is going to quickly shoot you about 2 lanes to the right. So you got to be careful there because, again, you will hit the rocks. But you do have plenty of space. Like, that's the trick. If you're far left here, you can go even further. You could catch the edge there. You do have the room. And then one last big turn. All depends where the car is. We didn't see a car, so we took it as tight as possible. But that's a turn. See here, one more. That thing pushes you to the edge. Now you want to stay right. But if there's a car in the middle or on the right, then you're going to move center. In this case, nothing, so we stayed right. But you could see how if there was a car in the center there, we'd want to go outside. Very tricky. Very tricky to go outside the car there and not hit the stones on the edge, but sometimes you have to do it. I was sort of lucky that we didn't have to do that. You know, you want to be inside on every turn. You want to be inside on every turn. But sometimes you can't be because there's a car there. So that's sort of the idea, you know, is try to get inside. But when there's a car there, you have to come up with something else. All right, so let's take a closer look at Wheatfield. As we see it for the last time here in Gold D. Say briefly, I am a believer that this is a game that is the RNG is smart, and if you can keep up your speed and generally like play almost flawlessly, the game gives you breaks in weird ways. Doesn't always give you breaks, but there are times where like there are certain, particularly the first couple stages, like the consistency with which I can get perfect times on these stages is like, if it were just totally random RNG, that shouldn't work. But it's not. It's like if you're going fast enough, the cars, you will often just barely miss cars. It doesn't always work that way, but it works that way way too often for it to be completely random. Doesn't happen on the first stage, but there are certain turns and stuff where it's just like, I know if I take this turn this way and I've been at full speed the whole game and I'm not falling behind, it's incredibly rare that there will be a car in a bad spot. So I sort of believe in God patterns in this game. Even though there are no patterns, it's all random RNG. It's not fully random. You can't do this. You often see cars in the same spot. So, I mean, it's not completely freaking random. Like, the cars have behaviors and, you know, there's only, and even if it is, you know, fully random, there's only so many places there can be a car, you know? They're generally only in the lanes. They're only driving, you know, one of a certain number of speeds. Like, there's luck involved, but it also seems to be a game that favors you if you're doing really well. And you almost have to anticipate that. Like, there are places I get where I'm like, well, it looks like I shouldn't do this because I'll hit that car, but if I do this and do it correctly, that car will move out of the way, and it does. It's totally weird. It actually just happened right there. All right, so let's go back here. Let's start this over and see if maybe we find some spots like that. Man, those last 2 runs were weak, dude. What the heck? No wonder Alpha has the record. Let's put the sound back on.
Got in the gap, but it's just, you can't slow down.
Oh, let's see what I just said there, just for fun. So there's a great example. Oh, yeah, that is a good example. Let's look at that fail for a sec there. So I can see I'm riding this line because I know that's where I can make the turn. But, yeah, I needed to be able to slide in front of that other car.
It was so nice.
There just wasn't enough room.
You can't slow down.
All right, so this isn't the fastest possible goal D route, but it's the route that you have to use if you're running all stages. Because otherwise, 2 of the stages in here would never be included if we only did the fastest possible routes. Because they're like 2 of the slow... Well, one of them is like one of the slowest stages. So if you don't have to go use that stage, you would never use it. So again, here we're just doing the first stage. We're generally staying inside of all of these turns. But there's more than enough room in the first stage to avoid things. And sometimes I get a little cocky and just kind of do whatever I want. Which I'm sort of doing right now. It looks like. It's really the only left. There's one left in there that's kind of big. And even that, you have plenty of room. So again, I mean, that S-curve is just elementary. I mean, there's just no cars. But it is tough at the end there because I had to let go of that turn just right or I would have slid into that car. And so there's another point where I'm being maybe a little cocky. We have no cars here. So that's super easy. Although we do have to just... But here I ride the line and just go right past that car. If I was just a little bit more to the left there, we'll watch it one more time. You can see the rear view mirror is right on the line, or the license plate is like right cut in half by the line. If we were just a little bit left there, we'd hit that car. But we know since we're straddling the line perfectly, or if we were just to the right of the line, then we have all the room in the world, as long as that car stays in its lane.
Checkpoint.
All right, so let's talk about Wheatfield. We go into Wheatfield, we go far left. We have just enough room to make this turn without going off the edge. We actually have a little bit more than enough room. We'll watch it one more time. So this turn has a bit of room. You can hit the outside edge a little bit. Actually, yeah, we made that really tight. So that's why it looked like there was a lot of room. But that was as tight as you could make it without going outside.
Oh, that was just outrageous.
This turn is a pain in the neck. So let's watch this turn one more time. So after you make that first turn, then you're going to go over a hill here. So it's hard to see what's coming when you make this second right. We'll go back again. You want to be as inside as possible here for sure. You don't want to lose any time, but you can cut inside there without hitting a tree. Because there's often a car in that left lane, maybe 5% of the time. And if you cut that tightly, you won't lose any speed and you won't hit that car. And generally, you won't hit any other cars. Like, that's a turn you should almost always be. These are turns that, like, you should always be able to make these, except in rare exceptions. So from the beginning again, light left. Occasionally there's a truck there that just kills you, but usually you can dodge things there. Here again, you can dodge almost anything, especially if you hug the right. Or occasionally when you get to the outside on that turn, if you didn't hug the right enough, you can actually go outside around the car in the left, which is fun. But that's a hard right that continues into a soft right, where you can move all over the road, and you want to continue to stay inside so you can get this S-curve as tight as possible. You don't need to be fully inside, but you need to be in that right lane or you will not make that S-curve. But again, I find that if I'm fully right here and I read the cars right, I should almost always make this S-curve. There's plenty of room. And a lot of times what happens is what we just saw there. Let's watch it again. We're staying tight. We got to avoid that blue car, though. We're going to just miss the outside here. And we're also going to just miss that car right there. A lot of times there's a truck there. But if you do that turn just right, it works. It's magic sometimes. So after we make it through the magic S, we have a right turn here that we can do without losing any speed if we cut it as tight as possible. That was it. So watch this on the right. We're going to turn right just as the turn starts. We're going to cut into it. Cut into it just a little bit there. And then when we're done, boom, we're right on the edge. That's a textbook turn right there. Watch that one more time. Watch the S-curve here again. Could have been a little more inside there. But you know, if we had been, we probably would have hit that car. That's kind of what's funny. But this is really a make or break turn. Occasionally the RNG can kill this. But right. See how that car moves out of our way? It's beautiful.
Ooh, that was very cool.
You can catch a little bit of the inside there and you'd be okay. Let's go back one more time. In all of these turns, you can catch a little bit of the inside or outside, as long as you don't go below about 177.
Ooh, that was very clean.
You won't actually lose in-game time. Yeah, like I just said there, that was very clean because it was very clean. So if we pull this too tight to the inside, we don't here. We'll see, 183 the entire way. Look at that. But if we had hit the inside or the outside and brought it down to 180, it actually wouldn't matter. And then this is the final S-curve. We'll do this turn one more. Oh yeah, this is the S-curve. All right.
Ooh, that was very clean.
We can't be any more to the left than that. We need to be in the right lane or at least halfway in the right lane. Let's watch it again.
Ooh, that was very clean.
If we are not at least halfway in that right lane, we're going to hit the pole on the edge right there. And there's a lot of room on the inside of this turn. Yeah, there are trees there, but there's a lot more room than it looks like. So there, that's actually quite nice. I mean, that's beautiful. The edge, we didn't go off-road at all. But there's plenty of room on the inside of that turn. There's not a lot of room on the outside of that turn because those poles are there. So you can straddle, you can straddle this right line here, which is basically what I'm sort of about to do. Like if we were a little bit further left, straddling this right line, we'd be fine, but we need to start turning right when the turn starts or we're going to crash into the pole. Any further left than that, we're done. So here, we're good. We're in the right lane. Again, that buggy was about to ruin the run, but he got out of the way for us. Gives us plenty of room on the right to make that turn. We've got plenty of room on the right there. We do not have plenty of room on the left.
Ooh, that was...
And then another thing that happens, I don't think it happens to us here. But yeah, when we go through, like, if that guy were in the middle, it's tough. You have to make a judgment call. In this case, I think we're tight enough that we'd want to go around to the right. We almost always want to go to the right of anybody on this turn. But sometimes you have to go left. But there's billboards on the left here. So in this case, we were able to go right, and that was good. But if that guy were in the middle there, you could see how tight that would be. And that maybe going to the outside actually would be the better move. But we need to avoid those billboards. But that's just one, again, where you got to get the feel. It's a nice little S-curve. You got to get quick on your swinging your thumb from left to right. rolling it over or tapping or whatever you like to do. And you just got to get a feel for that thing. But generally, the inside there, the right inside, you have plenty of room. You could even tap the outside a little bit, and you won't really lose anything. You'll hear me say that when I do runs. A lot of times my PBs don't have those taps because they're just that good. But tapping the outside a little bit so you get down to 180, you generally don't lose in-game time. Once you get below like 170, now you're 177, now you're losing time. So you can tap. I think we might see an example of that at the end here. All right, so we're going into the Alps. This is the only time we play the Alps. And we've got a simple left. But at the end of that simple left, we want to be on the right-hand side here. And then as soon as the signs for this turn appear, we want to go into the lake. We're going to drive into the lake. We're going to get ourselves right in that lake and then let this turn slide us to the outside. So you'll see just as the signs approach, I'm not moving just to get out of the way of that truck. I have to move here. Whether that truck was there or not, it doesn't matter. We're going into the lake. And yeah, we want to be in there. We want to be like 2 car lengths in there. And just let it push you out of the lake, let it push you out of bounds and right back onto the course. And that was pretty darn good. So light left here. Very easy. Doesn't slide you across the track at all. And then into the water. And just let it, you don't even have to turn at all. You just let it push you out. And we could see how good that was. Because when we got to the edge, we're right at the edge. We didn't hit the sign, obviously. We didn't go out of bounds. We got right to the edge there. So that was a really solid turn.
That was right on them.
But you have to lose that time. So again, it's a rhythm thing where I'm going offline and it's kind of like and if I was way too far to the right, I would have to tap left. But that looks like one where I really just hit right and went into the water, and then the turn gets super sharp and it just slid me all the way out. If you go too far into the water, then you have to adjust or you're going to lose too much time. But ideally, you're going to hit that just right. There's just a timing there where you see the sign, you hit right, and that's it. If you do it right, you hit right, you don't decelerate, and that turn just works beautifully. So it's all about getting that timing out. This next turn's tough because it's going to push us to the right just a little bit. We're going to get just a really weak left turn, and then there's going to be another really hard right turn, which we don't have to leave the road to make, but we do have to be far on the inside. So let's see how this works. Yeah, a bit of a left here. We're going to slide over to this inside. And so you can see now we're turning again. So again, we want a quick shift from turning one direction to the other. Not a shift like upshift, downshift, but a quick shift in the direction we're turning. And this is fine. As long as we're in the right 2 lanes, we should be okay here. We really want to be in the right lane, but being halfway into the next lane, we're fine. So we see there, we make this turn. We're still kind of holding on the right. And then it's going to give us a little left, and then this is a hard right.
All right.
But we made it. So that one's tough, because if you're not far enough on the right there, it's going to throw you off and you're going to hit something. Now we have a little bit of just this turn here. We got to move all over the track on this turn. It's not a hard turn.
All right.
A little bit of a straightaway here. Then this turn, we can still move all over the road, but then we're going to get a hard S here, which generally we want to be on the outside for, but it kind of depends where the cars are.
That's a bummer.
Oh, wait. I got way... That was not the turn where I thought I was. All right, so that's the big turn at the very beginning. We got to get to the outside. Yeah, see, there are billboards there. We don't want to hit those billboards. Now the turn keeps going, but we can get all over the road, and now we get this S-curve. So yeah, this S-curve is tricky. Yeah, after we make that big turn, we still have to keep turning, but now we can go anywhere on the road we want. Generally want to be inside here, but we don't want to be too inside. And it really kind of depends where the cars are. Since there aren't any cars here, we're just going to stay inside. But sometimes if there were cars on the inside, I'd go outside. Because this turn's going to throw us all over the road. So we're going to slide to the outside here. Now it's going to slide us to the inside. And then here, this is a great position because now we're on the inside into the final turn here. And it's not going to push us to the outside. So now I'm just shimmying away from those cars. But it's a really quick little doot-doot-doot there. But wherever you land, you're going to stay there. You're not going to get pushed to the outside. So if you land closer to the inside, you're going to have more to work with. But even if you land really close to the outside, that's usually not a problem either because it's not going to push you outside and there's nothing to hit. So it's all about dodging cars. Essentially, if the cars are on the inside, go outside. If they're on the outside, go inside. And then we have a really light turn here. Again, we can kind of get all over the road here, but this turn does become heavier. And it does become an S. So we want to get ourselves to the inside. We have time to do that. And then we want to just kiss the inside here. We want to lose about 6 miles per hour so that we bring ourselves down to about 177 maybe. That's not what I did there. So here, we want to maybe kiss the inside of that. Then that would allow us to kiss the inside of this, and we would have just lost like 177 on each side.
Oh, stop.
Oh, stop. I'm not sure why I said that. So let's see here. In this case, I had lost nothing on the inside. I lost everything on the outside.
That's a bummer. Oh, stop.
Oh, I'm yelling at myself because because I caught a little bit of the edge there when I didn't want to.
All right.
Yeah, part of the key to this whole game is if you watch the accelerator, you'll see like right now, it goes back up to like 170 something, 75 pretty quickly. But then it takes its time going back from like, we're going to watch this one more time. But it takes its time going back from like 177 to 183. It starts ticking a lot slower. And so keeping it at 183 is, you know, it's not just the max speed. It's that it's hard to get it back up to 183. It takes time to get it back up there and to get those fast speeds. So you want to lose speed as few times as possible. So on this last turn, for instance, it's kind of good that we don't lose any speed on the inside and we lose it all on the outside. One of the worst things you can do is lose speed on the inside of a turn, gain most of it back, and then lose it all on the outside of the turn again. It's better to lose more speed on the inside and lose nothing on the outside than to lose speed, gain it all back, and then lose speed again, because then you're never getting back up to that 183. When you have to lose speed, you want to lose it all at once and then just go back to 183. And that's how you're going to get the fastest times. So on this last turn, if we could just tap each side and just never get below 177, we theoretically would lose no time. Otherwise, it's better probably to not lose anything on the inside and just lose it on the outside. I forget what this split was. We're going to find out. Like here, if we could just get down to 177 there and then just tap that and be at 177, we'd lose nothing. We definitely lost a little bit there. And then tapping the edge there is no good. But that's something to think about on these transitions too, because if you tap just the inside and go down to 177 on a transition to avoid hitting a car, that's not like a big deal. You're not actually necessarily losing any time. Good. So if there is a time where you can just tap the inside of a turn and avoid a car or something, you're almost always doing the right thing because you usually aren't losing time there. All right, so now we go into Big Gate Street. This is the longest in this course, and we need to make a really hard left here at the beginning. So that was pretty good. And we have to watch out for the big gates or we'll hit them. So that guy being there stunk, but that was okay. So again, here we were already turning into that turn. It's very easy to come out of that gate there and then suddenly be in the middle of the road because this is a very sharp turn. So I'm turning in, I'm decelerating, I'm letting go of the gas. I've hit the edge of this turn, and I'm going to wait in this case till the skid animation goes away, or the skid noise. So it's like da-da-da-da-da-da. So watch this here. Skid goes away. Okay. So I let go of the gas. Once the skid noise goes away, that's when I start hitting the gas again. That's just how I do that specific turn. And so we'll see that work one more time. Oh, just so beautiful. You could do it other ways. You could look at the speed, but for this one, I just like that works every time. I know if I cut it super tight like this, and I just wait for that to go away. Now I hit the gas, and it brings me right to the edge of the road there, and then you'll ride the edge of the road. So that's another turn. Where if we watch it again here, it's a really tight turn at the start. Really tight, really tight, really tight, really tight, really tight, and now not as tight. Once you hit that last sign, then the turn isn't as tight anymore, and it'll stop pushing you to the right. And so then you can just hang out on the right there and get into this gate. And then we're going to stay right for the upcoming S-curves. And the key is we're trying to do these S-curves without leaving the road. It is possible, but it's very difficult. So let's watch that S-curve one more time.
Good Lord.
So we make this first turn, hard turn, hard turn, hard turn, soft turn. And we're going to stay right. The first S-curve is pretty easy. We can make it as long as there's no cars, but we also don't want to hit the billboards on the edge there, so we're good. Now we want to get outside here. And we're going to get inside as far as possible because this is that's like a 2.5 lane curve there. This last curve here will push you, this curve will push you all the way to the edge if you don't catch a little bit of the inside. So that was smart there because otherwise we would have hit a car. Watch that one last time. We would have hit one of those cars, but we caught the inside, lost just enough speed to not hit one of those cars. And now we're going to ride down the left. So that was a beautiful dodge. Let's watch that beautiful dodge again. We get in here. I'm riding this line. And then I'm deciding, okay, no, I've got enough. And then that truck starts coming. And I go, no, I don't have enough. So I get back on the line. So I get around that truck without I don't have to go fully into the next lane. I just have to be on the line. So watch me get over on the line, and then back. So I got that. So I still got that turn as tight as possible, even though I didn't need to. That was quite nice. Let me watch that again. On the line, sit, yeah. Moved just far right enough to miss the truck, and then right back in to get that turn. And then again, we're staying left, and this is another S-curve where we're just going to desperately try not to leave the road. But at the same time, if you have to grab a little bit of the edge of the inside to slow down to avoid a car, do it. So here we go. We're staying inside. We're not going to hit that guy. We're good. We're going to grab a little bit of the inside here. And then end. But you have to get that super tight. Those turns have to be super tight or you'll hit the gate at the end or you'll spend too much time on the outside. Watch one last time. Turn there, wait to the last second, and turn into that. Ooh, you see? Yeah, you see how that wasn't... That was good that I went outside because I didn't make that turn tight. Like, that's good. That's super tight. We turned just as the turn there. But there, see, I'm like already halfway into that left lane there. That last turn wasn't super tight, but it was okay. It was kind of good, though. We lost enough on the edge. Otherwise, we would have hit that stone gate. It's really tight there.
Checkpoint.
All right, so dual-way drive. We've got plenty of room here at the beginning. We're going to stay left. Going to let it push us to the right. I almost hit that car for no reason. Now we're going to stay right. We're going to let it push us all the way to the left. All the way to the left. We're going to get as left as possible. As left as possible. Oh, that's a miracle. Look at that. Miracles can happen, folks. So the first turn's nothing. This turn we let us push to the side, and then we get all the way left. So we slide just in front of that car, and we just miss the divider. If we are not far left enough here, we're going to hit that bush in the middle. I used to play with that while going from one side to the other, but I like staying on the left side here. So now we're going to straddle the line. This turn's going to let us turn inside a bit. Yeah, that was shady as heck. So after this big one, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to ride the line because the next turn is a light turn. So I'm going to turn left, and I'm going to go left. And I thought for a split second there I'd get in front of that car, but I made the right decision, and I did not. So if that car wasn't there, it would be a lot smoother here. We'd just go in left, and then we'd be right on the inside here, and it would just push us right to where we want to be. So now on this turn, again, we want to be right on the inside. So it pushes us there. We get a small straightaway, and here we want to be right on that edge in the middle so that we can hit this S-curve. And that was pretty good. It was not great. It was pretty good. So one more time here. We do need to go left, but we're going to go inside here. It's going to allow us to go inside, but then that left turn gets more aggressive and it starts pushing us to the outside. Those are the toughest turns, really. I mean, that turn's just a matter of being inside, but this turn here, it's going to be a little bit of a turn, and then suddenly now it's a lot of a turn. And then it's a little bit of a turn again. Yeah, it's a little bit of a turn, then a lot of turn, and then you're still kind of turning a little bit. And now you've got the straightaway. And here we want to catch the inside just a little bit there. Don't really lose any time, but it allows us, if we don't just barely catch this inside, we're going to smack into a tree on the left. Or, frankly, it is hard to hit those trees, so you don't necessarily need to grab the middle. You could also grab the outside here. You could hit the outside there. You wouldn't hit those trees immediately. There's plenty of grass there that you could do. But you're going to hit a little bit of something here. But again, if you only go down to 176, you're not really losing any time. So we're going there. S. And now as soon as those bushes went away, now I count 3 sets of bushes. So we're going to go out to the outside. Now we're going to go inside 2, 3 sets of bushes, and then I cross over because you're going to hit the grass. Let's look at this all one more time. So we're going to be a light left, then a heavy left, then a light left, then a straightaway. Then we're going to go hard right and then hard left. And then 1, 2, 3 sets of trees, and then cross the road because you're going to hit the green. Don't spend any more time in the green than you need to. Just shoot across it. As soon as those bushes are done, as soon as you're on the edge of that green, well, not so much as soon as the bushes are gone. But as soon as you're about to hit the green, don't sit on the green for half a second. Just go right across it. It's a little bit faster. So here, we didn't really want to hit this green, but it's okay because we would have hit the outside green if we didn't hit the inside. And then here, right as I'm on the edge, just go right across it. You'll lose less time than riding it for a second or two. And then now we're going to get back to the left. We got lots of room here, generally staying left to try to avoid these cars. And then this is just a nightmare. This is just like a blind hill that we're going up. And it's a really tight S-curve. So I want to be in the middle or probably on the line. I'll move close to that line. So I'm in that right lane, right on the edge. Right on the edge here, and then it's all about watching those signs come up on the left. So you got to be aware of where you are on the right so you don't crash into a tree. But you also got to keep the signs on the left in the corner of your eye. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going right. And you'll slide a little bit to the right here, but not very much. So you can't be on the very edge or you will slide into a tree eventually. But we can it'll slide us right into the edge here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide me into the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Other way. And that was really good. That was a really good handle it. That made that one look easy. We'll watch this one last time. So I would probably ride the line here. I'm a little more center than I might want to be, but that gives me plenty of space. 1, 2, 3, 4, turn! If we don't you can see how close that was. That was a very good turn from the inside here. 1, 2, 3, 4, turn! And it pushed me all the way to the outside. That last turn is a doozy. And if there's a car in the middle, you're in a lot of trouble. Because you can't go around a car. As you can see, let's just watch that one more time. We could be a little bit more on the edge there, but I mean, that's it. It's going to slide you completely across the road there. There's not a lot of room.
Ooh, I could have gotten a little bit more at the end there, probably, but I was so afraid of that crash. If I get that crash.
I had crashed a bunch of times at the end. I mean, when you're running this, you do 7 minutes, and you're on world record pace, and then you crash in the last turn. It's frustrating. It definitely happens there. I've absolutely done it. So is Alpha, I'm sure. That's old me. That's past me talking there. All right, we only got one left here. Wow, this is okay. Yeah, I was like, is this really going to take that long? Yeah, of course it is. All right, let me quench my thirst here. Pardon me. So again, the key to the boost. We're hitting the gas right after the second beep goes away. So no more second beep. Beep, beep. If you can still hear the second beep, you've hit it too soon. If you can hear the third beep, you've hit it too late. And then the speedometer is going to, or the tachometer is going to do something that it never does. It's going to go, it's not just going to go up. It's going to go up, and then it's going to jump back and start going up again. And that's how we know we got the boost. Fun fact, you can also do this when you crash. If you crash and you hit the accelerator just right when you're starting to go again, you'll see the tachometer do the same thing, and you can use the same concept and save, I believe, the same amount of time. So we'll watch it again here. I apologize if the audio is off. I don't know why it does that when I do videos this way, but it does. It sounds off to me. It might not be off on the stream, but I don't know.
Get ready.
Let me do this for a sec. It bothers me that this doesn't work. But it's not like an important thing for what we're doing. So I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's watch that one more time. To me, the audio is like crazy delayed for some reason. But this is the only point where it actually matters.
Get ready.
Yeah, so you see how the tack just kind of jumped up there and then went back? But now it's not starting at the bottom, it's starting in the middle. That's how you know you got the boost. And you can do this at the beginning, and you could also do it like when you're recovering from a crash. So now we're going to see 3 bars, and then it goes back to just 1 bar, like green bars, bright green bars. And so now on the 3rd green bar, we're going to shift up. We're going to lean, for me, I lean over on the C button. Shift up. That's how you get the boost. If you're not getting 5733s on this stage and everything else feels right, you're never going below 183, you're probably not getting the boost. So from here, now we work our way up to 183. So that's a good thing too. Let's look at that for a second. Like, watch how the speed goes up here. Look how fast it's going up. And then we shift, and it's still going up pretty fast. And now it's kind of slowing down a bit. Now it's in the 70s, and now it's not going up quite as fast. Now it's going up even a little bit slower, 81, 82. So that's kind of the key. That's why, like, you don't ever want to slow down. You want to slow down in the least amount of times possible. Like, obviously, you want to go fast. But as soon as you drop down to 170 or something, it takes a lot longer to get from 170 to 183 than it takes to get from 150 to 170. And so keeping yourselves at 183 is sort of like having the turbo on or whatever. Or keeping yourself above 187, I should say. So here we go. We're going into this turn. This is the gatekeeper. I went in straight for some reason there. That was crazy, but it worked. Again, that turn and all these S-curves are really all about just getting your timing. If it's feeling really hard, you might not be anticipating enough. Left, right, no, right, left. Sometimes you gotta be pushing that direction a fraction of a second before the turn actually starts. You want to be turning into stuff. You don't want to turn, oh, now I see that I'm turning, let's turn. You want to be turning knowing that that turn is going to start in a fraction of a second. Everywhere. And that's true everywhere in the game. That's sort of the name of the game. Master System version of this game, that's even more true. That is something I learned from the Master System version of this game and brought back to this game is, you know, and of course you have to memorize the turns to be able to do that. So like, you know, that's the first step. But once you get memorized the turns, you often want to be turning into turns. You want to be understanding how even though you're on a turn, you still got all this road to work with. You can still move over there even though you're in the middle of a turn. It's hard to do that when you're brand new to the game, but once you get good at it, you realize, you know, you want to be on the inside of those turns so that even if the turn's pushing you to the outside, you still have some wiggle room. Whereas if you hit every turn so you have just enough room, you can't dodge any cars, you know? Always got to be ready to dodge some cars. All right, so we haven't seen any of these stages before, so we'll go through these and that'll be it. Let's see what we got here. We are going all rights. So yeah, we haven't talked about any of these stages. This first stage that we go into, Cloudy Mountain Pass, we're going to want to stay left. I like to stay left. You don't have to, but I find that you're less likely to get cornered in. But we're going to stay left, and then we're going to quickly go right. I didn't stay left here, but this is another great example where I'm going to hover on the line. So that was a difficult transition. I tried to take that transition as tight as possible, but then there was a freaking Jeep right there, and he started moving right, so I had to go around him. There was no cutting inside that guy. All right, so in this case, yeah, I don't know why I don't go hard left here, but I'm definitely staying to the left of that green car. And then I guess in this case, I decide I'm still left here because I'm not in the right lane. I'm straddling the line. So I'm not going to hit anybody in the right lane. And I know that the turn's about to push me to the outside, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So I'm on the line. Those guys can't hit me. I decided to get a little bit more space there, I guess. But this turn's very light. You can still move all over the road on this turn, but it's about to get really heavy. So it's a light right. But then right when these bushes stop here on the right-hand side, on the inside of the turn, we want to grab some grass or we're in trouble. Okay, so the bushes are stopped. We can see now we're already on a right turn, but this right turn's about to get pretty extreme. So we want to get almost the whole car in the grass, but not quite. And then the turn will pull us out of the grass. And if we did it right, we'll hit the edge of the road. Yeah, beautiful. So you see, we go into the grass. Not quite the whole car goes into the grass. And then the turn pulls us out of the grass naturally. And then we just hit the edge of the road at the end of the turn. You need to lose a little bit there. You cannot do that without losing a little. You'll hit the billboard every time. So again, we kind of hang left here, but then we got to get back to the right real quick and then jump into that grass as soon as it becomes available. And we're good. We do not touch that grass. We're hitting the billboards. All right, so then here we're going to go up the right-hand side. We've got plenty of room here, but it is going to move us a full lane over. It's going to take its time doing it. But it moves us at least a lane to the left there. So again, we got this real tight turn at the beginning here. This one is a disaster. If there's a car there on the right or something, it's a freaking nightmare. You really, you want to do that turn like that every time. There's not a lot of other options. This turn's very flexible. You could get hard inside there. Those trees are in there a bit. You could see, you can grab some grass on the inside if you need to there, but you'll lose time. So it's a slow turn, but it is a long turn. If you have to grab some grass, grab some grass. But again, here, this is another place where you could see me straddling the line. So we're grabbing the grass. We had no cars there bothering us. That was great. But here, I'm straddling the line because I want to be where that car is, but I can't. So I straddle the line to get past him and then just tap to the right. I didn't grab any grass here because I was on a world record pace, so I didn't want to do that. Or I was trying to set a world record pace. And that was fine because basically when I make this right, I see that there aren't any cars that are going to interfere with me except that guy all the way on the left. He starts moving anyway, so, you know, I'm good. It's tough, though. You're going to get hit there a lot. So now we have an S. We want to start on the left. We want to let it push us almost all the way to the right and then cut back. Depends where the cars are, though. So in this case, neither of these turns is very tight. They're not really going to push you. You're just going to turn and stay about where you are. So this pushes you a little to the outside, but I usually go to the outside more deliberately. I just didn't do that here because there's a car there. So here, I usually will allow myself, I will like let go of the turn a little bit so that I drift to the outside and then quickly turn into the next turn. But there was a car there, so I couldn't do that. So I had to take this fairly tight and then cut around that car. This turn will just slowly keep pushing you to the outside, as it did there. So that was a bit of a bummer. That's why this is not the world record. Oh, are we on E now? I better change this.
What is it?
All right.
This thing.
Cool. Okay, yeah. All right, so again, we're riding the line here. And that's just nice, too, because if a car popped up in the middle, we wouldn't hit that car either. And yeah, watch how far this pushes us. I mean, into the next lane and halfway into that lane. And we only did a minor adjustment there. Yeah, this S-curve coming up really stinks because there's often cars in places you don't want them to be. But if you can slide to the outside there and catch that inside, you've got tons of road to work with. I just couldn't do it because there was a car there this time. But you should have a lot of road to work with like there. We should not be on the outside there. We should be way on the inside. We just didn't get the RNG we needed to do it. So again, getting around this car is easy, but that car in the right lane just stinks. But we could have cut that way tighter. We still could have cut in behind that car way tighter. So then as soon as we come out of this turn here, which is going to slowly push us to the outside, we want to cut all the way to the right. Now we're sliding all the way to the right to take this turn as tightly as possible. This turn won't push us all the way to the outside, but it'll get pretty close. So, I mean, as long as we're in one of the right two lanes here, we're good. But if we're in that more inside lane, we're going to barely have enough. The trick with this turn, though, is we want to get this turn. We want to cut that as tight as possible. And that is not that. So we're going to come off this S-curve. We're going to go right. Cut that turn. That doesn't have to be super tight. In fact, as we get to the outside of this turn, we want to be aware of the signs that are now coming up on the right. And we want to try to really get as far outside as possible here because we're going to have to slow down to make the next left. So we actually want to hit the outside without hitting a tree. We want to slow down. We want to actually think about perhaps braking or downshifting here because we want to quickly lose a lot of speed and then just get it all back. So this is bad because I already lost some speed. I should be at 183 right now, but I'm not. So we can see here the turn's coming. We're watching the signs on the right. We're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can see. So we really want this car to be more right on the edge. It's not quite there, but it's pretty close. And right as this edge comes, we want to try to catch the edge to lose a little. We want to let go of the accelerator. And believe it or not, we actually might want to think about tapping the brake or even downshifting for a split second. So that the miles per hour jumps down to like 130 as quick as possible. And then we immediately start accelerating into the turn. So there, I'd love to be a little bit more inside there. I think I'd actually like to have less speed now too. We actually want our speed now to be decreasing rapidly. Yeah, like that's not enough. You actually want to like slam on the brake there real quick. So you see I'm losing speed, and then I'm gaining it back. And then just barely making that. But I caught a bit of the outside there, and I didn't even really want to do that. So this is a turn right here we're in the middle of. You can't do it at full speed. Can't do it. You'll always hit the outside. So you want to be on the edge. You want to lose as much speed here as possible, and then gas it. And then just make it, but not hit the edge like we did there. That's a tough turn. There's a lot of time in that turn. That turn is one of the reasons you are not going to get world record in this. Unless, I mean, you have to do this turn incredibly well. Much better than that right there. You've got to lose all that time right on the inside of that turn and then gun it again. So that because let's see how fast we are on the outside of this turn. Yeah, see, we were back down at like 165 there because we hit the edge. You want to come out of that turn at like 174. So right about now, you want to be at 174, now 164. And you can do it, but you gotta hit that inside just right. Lose a lot of speed really quick, and then go.
What is this going to be?
Checkpoint.
All right, Walls Way. So we're going into Walls Way. We got a couple of little turns to start here. We don't necessarily have to be on the right. We can basically be anywhere. In fact, I think I usually like being on the left. In fact, whenever I go into a new stage like this, I usually like being on the left. Because kind of watch what happens here with like this buggy. The lines kind of go away for a minute and then the lines come back. And sometimes in that transition period where the lines, when you're going into a new stage and the lines go away and they come back, the cars reposition themselves and they often move right. So like here, that car, I wouldn't have been surprised if suddenly that car was in the middle lane, which is why I went to the right lane there. Now he wasn't. He stayed left. He was a good guy. But a lot of times that car will suddenly be in the middle lane and now you've hit it. But so that's why we went right there. Usually I go left there. But that's a turn that doesn't push you to the side at all. So you can enter that turn anywhere. As long as there's not a car in front of you, you're fine. This turn, pretty much the same. It is going to slide you a little bit to the outside. And I usually like to start that turn on the inside. But when I'm done, I like to be on the outside. I like to be on the right-hand side of the road. Because now we've got a big right coming. It's going to start soft right, and hard right. So that was beautiful, but that's because there were no cars there. So we start with a very light turn. And then a little bit heavier turn, but not much. But we want to end up all the way on the right side of the road. So that now we can make this light right. We're just going to hug that inside, see where our cars are. Now it's going to push us out at least one lane to the left. But we've got all that time there. We got all this time here where we're not being pushed to the side, where we can adjust if necessary. But now we better not be any further left than the center lane or it's going to shove us to the outside. And that's fine. It worked good. Okay. But that's a long turn that, you see how this is pushing you to the outside at the end. Now we're going to get a little bit of a left. It's not going to push us. We just got to avoid the cars. And now again, we're going to get a hard right. But it's not going to be as hard as that last one. So this one's not really going to push us too far. It's a long right, but it doesn't push us to the outside. See that? I mean, we were moving a little bit to the outside, but it's not pushing us like lanes across the road. We've got room to steer there. And now this is a turn where it's going to be blind. And right after it, there's going to be a nice S-curve. So once we make it through this guy, I usually straddle this line here. I couldn't straddle the line there because the Jeep was there. But generally, I would straddle the line where that Jeep is, just to the right of this Jeep. But instead, I played it safe. I stayed in the middle. But I'm going to let this turn push me to the edge. I want to be right on the edge. In fact, you usually want to tap the edge. Unless you want to do it absolutely perfectly, which apparently I did here. Usually you want to grab the edge, but it depends where the car is. So here, we're going to see, I'm going to get as close to the edge as possible. And then we're going to slide all the way across on this turn, and then we're going to slide almost all the way back across on the other turn. That's perfection, though. I mean, that's exactly what that turn's supposed to look like. Usually I catch a little bit of the edge, so it slows me down so I can adjust if there's a bad RNG car here. But that car was just in the exact right spot. That car was just perfect. But usually I end up needing to do an adjust there. So I grab a little bit of the edge to slow down just a little bit so that I can make an adjustment. But in this case, we didn't need the adjustment. We got right to the edge. Perfect turn. Again, you've got to switch, so we're holding right. We're coming up here. We're holding right. We're tapping right to get to the edge. Now we're going left. And now we're going right. You got to make those switches. Right as the moment that the road is turning, you want to be turning. Or sometimes you want to be turning a fraction of a second ahead of it. Just a little bit ahead. Get into that turn. Catch that inside of the road. It's almost always going to be what you need to do. But yeah, you could see how if there was a car, if that car was in the right lane here, that would have sucked. Or even if a car sometimes comes up on the left lane here, then you have to go around it in the rough or whatever. That's just beautiful. I just want to watch that more because it's so good. Now we've got two last turns here, two last right turns after our fun little S here. And those walls, you'll hit those. Be careful. This first right is going to push us to the outside. Oh, that was brave. Look at that. I thought I was going to go outside. It's going to push us to the outside just a little bit. And in this case, I saw it and I said, I think we're going to shoot the gap. So we just shot right between those two cars. Let it push us because it was just so nice the way it was set up. It just pushed us and I let go a little. You can see I shimmied a little bit to the left. And then this one doesn't push you to the outside. You can do that last turn and it won't move you to the outside. So that was just a beautiful little let it push us and shimmy a little bit. And then there I usually just try to stay in the right lane if it looks open. You almost have to be careful on that turn because it won't push you to the outside. And if you're getting jumpy, you'll take it too early and you'll catch the inside. Worst case scenario, or best case, you'll lose a little time. Worst case, you'll hit the wall. And then here's another place where I'm going to straddle the right line as I'm going into the transition. Because this guy's in the right lane where I want to be. So if I'm straddling that line, that's as close to where as I want to be as possible. Where I know I'm not going to hit that guy. And I know I'm still going to be able to make this turn without hitting the edge. There, I was sort of on the line, and then I tried to cut the inside because I was waiting to see what this guy would do. And I was waiting to see if I was going to shoot past him real quick or not. And when I realized I wasn't, I was like, oh, crap. So I cut inside a little bit more than I wanted to. And yeah, I did go down to 170. So I lost a little time there. That could have been like a 57 something, 50 whatever. Could have been a 40 something, man. 57, 40 something. Or maybe actually that time. No, because I'm back up at 180 by the time I get in here. That's actually probably where we lost. That right there. Oh, it's unbelievable how bad that is. Oh, my goodness.
Checkpoint.
All right, so now we're into here. We are into Seaside. And so let's go into Seaside. And Seaside is a whole bunch of S-curves that we're trying to take as tight as possible. And it's tough because there's barriers on the outside. So we're going to have a hard right here. We want to be as far right as possible, and we want to take that turn as tightly as possible. That was pretty good. We could have got a little bit tighter there, but that was still pretty good. So as soon as the turn starts, we see that we're still pretty far on the edge. But it's going to push us completely across the road into the outside. And that's just what we're going to have to do because we can't cut it any tighter. And so the key here is to cut this as tight as possible. And then once the turn starts going left, we want to go left and we want to catch the inside of the road. And we can see that we did that quite well. Boom. So that's pretty on the inside. If we didn't hit that, that's because I hit right at just the right spot. If we don't hit right there, I mean, you're going to fly across the road. You're going to be on the left side of the road before you know it. So we cut that nice and tight. We're going to end up going out of bounds here, or going into the rough, but that's all we can do. But we can see now, again, if I don't quickly turn left, the next thing I know, I'm going to be in the middle of the road because this turn's going to throw me out into the middle of the road. But I was able to turn left, and I'm right on the edge of the road. So I should have just enough here to make this. Just before I hit that boathouse. Now, I didn't actually watch. Did I freak out? So we're down at 154. Yeah. I definitely was afraid I didn't make that as tight as possible. You can make that a little bit tighter. So I decelerate here just a little bit so I don't hit the edge. But you should lose just enough speed there, and if you make that turn just tightly enough, you can do this without then slowing down. I could have done it there probably. And of course avoiding the cars. So now we get a bit of a straightaway. We want to stay kind of to the right here. We want to get as far right as we can because that's going to be the inside. And then we can get ourselves through these curves here. So we stay right on this straightaway. We've got plenty of room here. Plenty of room here to make these turns. The first couple turns have to be like as tight as possible. Those turns, there is a lot more room. So we can use a bit of the road there. And then we're going to have this very mild left that is eventually going to turn into a very hard left. So as soon as we see these signs come up here, the wall on the right's going to disappear. We got wall, 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 wall. That disappears. We just about to go hard left. Hard left into the ocean. We want to be pretty much in that water. And then again, we're just holding left. Like the road will pull us back in. Hold left, hold left, hold left in the road. It's tough because you can get stuck up there. But if you do it just right, it'll just be a left push and it will just pull you back out. And that was actually, we probably spent too much time in the water. You do it just right, it'll pull you out and you will just miss that wall. You will just hit the edge of the road there. So we spent a little too much time in the water here. But that's still pretty good. Like when we got out and hit this edge, so we lose speed, lose speed, lose speed. Now we start getting it back. And when we're here, we're almost at 170. That's still pretty good, but it could be better. But that turn's huge. I mean, you have to hit that turn. It's very easy to hit this wall. You don't ever think that turn is like as huge as it is, and then and you're like, oh, that's right. This is a massive left turn every time. And so now we just kind of hold right a little bit, and then there's going to be a really quick, sharp left. Really quick, sharp left there. It's kind of funky. So we stay to the left-hand side here, because then there's a really quick, sharp left. But you'll be fine. You can stay on the road. And now we're at the end. We got one left. That was Seaside. This is Lakeside.
Checkpoint.
So we're going into Lakeside. And I usually stay center. It starts to go right here, but very lightly. This is one of the few turns in the game where I do not go to the inside, because I will almost always crash into one of those bushes. Because it starts going right, and I always think it's a hard right, and I hit right, and I just smash into a bush. Like, if you just smash your right button, like right now, you will just boosh! You'll be on the right side of the road before you know it. Because it's a very light turn. It goes on for a while. So I usually hang out in the middle, but you got to be getting yourself right. And here's the key. Here's the visual cue. Because it is a long right. So you're slowly working back to the right, and you're looking for when there's a spot on the right that's trees again. There it is. Now 1, 2 sets of bushes, and turn. That's terrible. Is this wreck? I guess it is. That was a terrible turn. So watch it one more time. So this right will eventually become a hard right. Because we get bushes, 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 trees. Now bushes, bushes. And now we really wanted to be bushes, bushes. So now we have some dirt over here. And then there's going to be the next bush. And right where that next bush is where the turn starts. So ideally, I actually wanted to go off-road here a little bit and catch this edge. Problem is there's a car there. So you can see the turn, you know, we got this turn coming up, and you can almost see there's a bush coming up here on the right. I really want to be off-road right now. I want to be to the right of this black car that's right here in front of us. And frankly, it might have made sense to go off-road and go right around that car. We might have been able to do it. Like, we might have been able to pass him on the right, but not really. I don't know. Well, we're already down at 165. Let's not second-guess everything, but that is what you want to be. I mean, if that car's not there, then there's no, no question. I would be basically just to the right of that car, like halfway in the dirt, so that I would have just missed that bush on the right. So I want my car to be at least a lane and a half to the right now. And that would allow me to then take this turn without slowing down. And we would hit this edge, and then we would cut back in here. So there's a very long, hard turn there, but you can make it if you're all the way on the inside. You will just make that turn. And now we're going left, but we can shimmy all over the road. Ideally, we want to get ourselves back to the right so that we can make this turn. So after this long right turn, now we get a pretty light left. And during that light left, we want to shimmy right as far as the cars will allow us. So then we can make this as tight as possible. But if we're stuck on the outside here, that's okay. It's going to push us outside, but just a little bit. It's going to push us just a little bit to the left. So if cars are on the right, that's fine. We'll go left. If there's cars on the left, we're going to try to cut that as tight inside as possible. And then this is the final S-curve. I don't think this is actually my current PB. Whatever. Maybe it is. So yeah, there's always cars there to deal with, and you just want to be wherever the cars aren't, because it's not going to push you too far in any one direction. And then you want to, it's a tough end of that turn too, because you're usually right next to a car and right next to a tree. So you got to let go of that turn at just the right spot. And now for this final S-curve, again, generally we want to be inside. We want to be pretty close to the right, but we don't want to be all the way right necessarily in this case. Depends where the cars are. There's a lot of car positions here that are just going to kill the run unless you get kind of lucky or really slick. But I want to hug this. We want to go in and we want to cut this as inside as possible, because you will fly to the left real quick. This turn will throw you to the left. You can see there, we're already on the left side of the road. We cut that pretty tight to the inside here on the right, and we're already on the left side of the road. and right, and boom, now we're basically on the left, and then we're cutting back, and then we're cutting one more time. So it is a quick right. It's kind of funky because it like goes left just a little bit and then right, if you see. You got to basically tap left. I usually do like 1 or 2 left taps. If I'm in a position like this, it's like 1 left tap and then right. And then quickly back to the left and then quickly back to the right. And then on this turn, I like to stay outside because it's really easy when that turn ends, if you're on the inside, to smash into a bush. It's like super, like turn is over and boom, you're into a bush. On the outside, it's a lot, it's tough. I mean, if there's a car there, there's a car there. Let's watch this S one last time. So that turn is tough because you're almost always squeezing in. And then now we've got this last like little S here. A little tap to the left. I used to try to go into this on the left, but it really doesn't work because you can't then cut. You can't cut what you need. So you need to tap left and then hard right, and then hard left, and then hard right. Stay somewhere about the middle left here. So you can get around this car if you need to, but you can also avoid that truck if you need to, and you're in no danger of hitting the trees on the inside. 46, 48. See, I don't think that's my current
car was in the
PB.
way again,
I could be
but
wrong.
that could be something.
But that's it. I mean, that's the 5 goals. We've taken a long look at each turn. I know I did a lot of rewinding there, but just looking at things over and over. If you look at the time in the top right, you could kind of, or either of the times, you can see when the rewinds are. It shouldn't be too hard.
It's still a good 46.
But if nothing else, it's just for me so I can remember all of this stuff. Let's see what this time is. Was this a 4:35 or did I somehow not? Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit. Oh.
Well, now I can see why those. It was a good because I wanted to review my PBs. I was sort of afraid that I would watch the ones that aren't record anymore and be like, man, I don't know how I can improve that. But that did not happen. B, C, and E are the ones that can be. D can be improved by simply going a different route. But in B, C, and E, I immediately saw where the time was.
That's the new fastest.
Which is
run.
good. So I wasn't like, man, I don't know how he beat me on those. It's like, oh yeah, well look at that turn. It's not good enough. That's why.
And 7.
But yeah, this game, it is, you gotta, it is fun because it does feel like there's more. Like you think you got it. And I thought my records were pretty optimized and they were good. But yeah, we found time that I didn't know existed.
But even that.
But at the end of the day, it's all about taking every turn as tightly as possible. Which is to say, it's not even that the game follows that. You could take a turn, you could take all the turns on the outside, as long as you don't lose any speed, that's it. Like, taking a turn on the inside doesn't actually, like, the game doesn't recognize that as a quicker distance. It's just that you always want to do that because it gives you the most flexibility when you're then, like, on the outside. It gives you the most flexibility then when you're trying to avoid cars, not when you're on the outside. That didn't make sense. So you're taking the turns on the inside, not because that's how the game gives you better time, but because that's how you can avoid the most cars. And from there, yeah, don't hit cars and don't hit the edge of the screen. And then where you have to, you can lose about 6 miles per hour, maybe even upwards of like 6 or 7 miles per hour and not lose any time. And the routing does not save you time. It's all about keeping the miles per hour at 183 as long as possible. If you have to lose speed once and then gain it all back. That's world record strats. Marathon strats, race strats, novice, intermediate level strats. Tapping is good. It's a good strategy because it keeps your speed up. You will very quickly lose speed when you let go of the accelerator. Tapping it, you will lose it a lot more slowly, And there's times too where when you just push the accelerator, you're going to gain speed too fast. So tapping it might help you gain speed without gaining too much speed. But if you want to go world record, it's all about cutting your speed down to just where it needs to be, where now you can accelerate and you'll hit the edge of that turn as optimally as possible, which is to say your wheels will be on the edge of the road and you won't hit anything and you won't lose any time by going in the grass. Get comfortable driving on the lines. Get comfortable seeing a wall of cars and knowing that if you can just get your car centered on the line, you're going to go right through them every time. That's a thing that I don't even think I understood that when I set all the original records. That's something that I got better at. Understand that there are actually lanes in between lanes. And occasionally there's lanes on the outside too. There may even be a tree there or something. Some of those bushes are right on the edge of the road. Dual-way drive, they're right on the edge of the road. But some of the bushes and trees are pushed out a bit. And you can pass people on the edge of the road, even though they're in the right lane or the left lane. Dodging cars, you know. There are times where you think you can't dodge a car, but guess what? You probably can. There are very rare cases where you just can't dodge the car. Sometimes it's incredibly tight, you know. But I believe too, if you can keep up really good paces in this game, the game will give you magic. There will be times I was doing A runs and there are places where I'm like, I should adjust for that car, but I can't. I'll lose too much time. So I'm just going to do what I need to do and hope that car gets out of the way. And you might be amazed how often that happens. There is a level of faith that exists in this game when you are playing a world record level. Because if you constantly are trying to dodge every car, you'll never do it. You will not catch the records. You have to have faith sometimes that car is going to move, or that you are going to, it looks like you're going to hit it, but you're going to get slightly in front of it. There are a lot of turns like that too, and you'll get to know them. If you play and you have that faith and you start seeing, you'll realize some of that last turn in Desert Drive, some of these turns at the end of E, you feel like you're done because that car's in your way, and then suddenly that car drifts out of your way. A too, like the Wilderness Stage 4 in A. There's a couple turns in there that I just take the turn. I ignore the cars because the turn has to be done a certain way. There is no, if you want to get world record or you want to get in that ballpark even, you have to do the turn this way. And if the cars don't move, that's why you have a reset button. That's one of your greatest tools in speedrunning this game is the reset button. And in every speedrun, of course. But don't believe too much that it's all a matter of just finding the route and getting the right RNG. Even though that's kind of what I just said, that only really exists on a couple of key turns where it's like, look, you got to do this turn this way. You're going to have to reset. And so you have to have faith. But in a lot of other places, dodge the cars. You may think that car isn't dodgeable, but it might be. It might be. And in sometimes knowing when not to dodge the cars. It looks like you need to go to the outside of that car. But if you try to cut inside, will you make it? And sometimes you got to get into runs where you're just like, I know if I go outside of that car, then I'm going to hit the outside. I'm going to lose time. So I'm just going to hold inside and hope to God that I'm just in there. And if I find that if you make the turns as tight as possible and keep yourself at like world record level speed, you'll be amazed how often you can do this. But yeah, it basically gets to the point where we spend a lot of time on the places where you have to let go of the accelerator. Generally speaking, you're not going to let go of the accelerator. And that's how world record runs work. But certainly if you're not at world record level yet, the name of the game is not getting hit. Go fast and don't get hit. That's how speed running works. That's how this game works. Don't be afraid to let go of the accelerator a little bit here and there. if it means avoiding a car. When you hit a car, you're losing 1 to 2 seconds in-game time every time. Depends exactly how you hit it. It depends what animation happens after you hit the car. But certainly none of the world records have car hits in them. But what's really amazing and exciting about the records where they are now is that a regular person could play this game and not hit any cars, and you're still going to be several seconds for world record. You could be 10 seconds for, like, you could play this game, not hit a car, still be 15 seconds for world record, you know. So it is good, you know, when you're playing the game to learn to avoid cars, decelerate just enough to miss the cars. But unfortunately, if you want world record, there's not a lot of deceleration options. You basically tape your finger to the accelerator and know the very small amount of times when you can let go. And if you find yourself letting go too much, it's probably a reset. But all stages runs are still in a place where if you're you could beat the all stages record and still decelerate a lot. Not a heck of a lot, but the all stages runs are not, it's not 5 world record level runs, but they are still like, to get all stages, you still have to do 4 runs that would basically be in the top 3 or top 5 on the leaderboard. But they are more conservative. And as you're getting better at the game, it is definitely a game. You want to get a little bit better. You want to just keep getting that run that's a little bit better and not try to kill yourself to get 5-second better PBs or something. A lot of times I thought I was at the place where I'm like, I just have to go as fast as possible. And if I hit a car, I reset. And then I realized that I was oversimplifying it and making it too easy for myself. And I still know that there are cars in this game that I don't know how to avoid yet, but that must be avoidable without losing speed. And the more you play it, the more you'll start seeing cars in the same places. You'll never see the same exact pattern. You'll never have the same exact run. That's one of the things I love about the game that makes it so challenging, is that every run is unique. But certainly you're going to see cars in the same places when you start playing it a lot. And it's all about developing strategies for avoiding those cars and just getting good at driving and knowing where the edge of your car is compared to the edge of the other cars. I've never actually seen officially what the hitboxes look like. But for sure, we can touch the edge of our car to other cars and be fine. Generally, I find it very hard to sort of look at a car and know whether you're going to hit it. Usually the lines in the road are a better indication. But if you're in the middle of a turn, the turn's pushing you to the edge, the lines in the middle of the road aren't going to really help that much. And you kind of have to just look at that car and understand the physics, have a feel for the physics, and know whether you're going to hit that car or not. Sometimes you just got to roll the dice and hope you don't hit it. But yeah, it can be a very frustrating game. You can't just sit down and get record. You can't just sit down and get close to record without getting some fairly good RNG. But still, just getting RNG doesn't give you a record. Doesn't even get you close to. You could have great RNG, miss all the cars, never go offline. You still probably, there are certain tricks and stuff that are used, which I've now shown you in this video. And if you're not using those tricks, you're not going to be saving enough time. But that's okay, because the whole point is to have fun, right? So if you do decide to play this game and run this game, I hope you have fun. Certainly, if you have any questions, come check me out, JFred99. You'll find me on JFred99 basically everywhere on Twitch and Twitter, and not on YouTube, but you'll find me if you search JFred99 on YouTube. I'd be happy to, talk to anybody about this game. I do really enjoy it. And I wanted to make this so I could remember all the things that I did, and so maybe other people could benefit from it as well. This is a very open-ended me just talking and saying lots of things, because I don't have time to put together an actual 3-hour presentation. But certainly if you're trying to hack this game out, I would think that this is a wealth of information that would be helpful. I have exposed all the tricks on all the turns here. I have exposed my key tricks of driving down the lines, using the lines to know when you're in between the lanes, and counting those signs are a big thing. Maybe that's not the way it works for you, but you have to understand that those signs are telling you when the turn's going to start. And it's all about timing on those turns. You want to be turning into turns ever so slightly. So you know that turn's coming, you're in the right spot on the road, and you're hitting the right or the left arrow right as that turn starts. I mean, that's the key to this whole game. A lot of the turns don't matter. There's plenty of leeway, but some of these turns, if shooting for world record, it's got to be tight. It's got to be as tight as possible. I think that's it for me on this one. Take care out there wherever you are, whenever you are. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye, everybody.